why we don't let John do the home improvement.
Say what? All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome to Caliber Corner episode number 51, I believe, where today's topics are going to include knives, EDC combat and hunting, budget-friendly handgun modifications and accessories, and we're going to have a heated discussion on 45 ACP versus 45 long Colt versus 45 gap. So, guys, I want to welcome you all to the channel. If you've never watched the show before, it's a little variety show that we have here where we talk about different firearms-related topics, Pro 2A topics. And let's go ahead and take attendance and see who's with us. Vanessa Kitty is joining us. Whoa, Tony, go ahead.
Before we do that, there's no damn 45 long Colt.
45 Colt?
All I hear is 45 slow.
45 Colt. All right, we're just going to call it 45 Colt, Tony. Is that cool with you?
Well, yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. I always see it as LC, so I just assume they say long Colt on the box, but I understand, man. It's all good. I think it's just so you can differentiate it from ACP. That's probably the only reason why they do that. Let's see. All right, so real quick,
with the damn rim on it.
All right, it's easy to figure out. Texas Blades is with us this morning. Moo Butt, Cadillac Jet, WD, D-Temp 62. God, you guys are up early today. Vanessa Kitty's with us. Tacos and French fries. Midnight Range TM is out there burning the midnight oil in the morning. Patriot in the dark. Moo Butt. Georgia Trucker's with us. He's got questions for us that we're going to address early this morning before we get into it. Patriot in the dark is hanging out. Gun Loving Grandpa Stanley was the first person to check in on the YouTube side. Let's go ahead and check the gun channel side and see if we got anybody over there. Tony's over there saying good morning. Paper Plane Crash is with us this morning. Good morning, Paper Plane Crash. And real quick, let's go ahead and let the panel introduce themselves. If you guys got any shows you want to plug or anything you want to talk about, feel free to do so. Tony, we will begin with you. Tony, how's your morning going, man?
I don't have a damn thing to plug except for to say the early watch is going to be on hiatus until we get our shit squared away.
Okay. All right. Well, when it comes back, it will be good. And people can go back and watch past episodes, right? You guys got the episodes up on YouTube? Yeah. Early Watch, Daily Gun Show, two of the first podcasts that got me into really getting into the 2A community, really getting into guns. So do check it out, guys. Support their channel and check it out. But should be coming back at some point soon. Is Jimmy going to come back? I know Jimmy's a busy man right now. Is he going to come join you?
That's what we're waiting for.
Okay.
I'm not going to keep trying to get somebody to host and Jimmy's.
Okay. Because I did
consider hunting season's coming.
Okay, Jimmy popped up over on was it the Daily Gun Show? He made a little guest appearance over there, and he talked for a little while about what's been going on and what he's busy doing and stuff. And yeah, so I mean, hopefully get you guys back, get that show going, and really, I do miss it, man. You guys got to get that sucker back in the routine, back in the schedule. So, all right. So do you guys stay tuned for that over on Gun Channels? You can check it out.
And that froze up.
What's that? And that froze up. All right. Sandhill Shooter, what is going on this morning, bro?
Well, I've got some very big news. I've been seeing some chatter lately, some videos about Gunstreamer, and I've had an account for about a week, but I just did it on my phone, and apparently the mobile app doesn't let you do a whole lot. But my channel is up. I'm working on getting the logo up there so people can recognize it. All of my videos from YouTube are now also on Gunstreamer.
Yeah, if you ask them to, Gunstreamer and YouTube will port your whole channel over within like a day.
Yeah, it didn't take long at all.
No, that's good to know, because I was trying to do it individually and I thought to myself, my God, this is going to take forever, you know.
But I had, what did I have, 60 some odd videos. It's not
okay.
It's not like it took very long for them to get mine over.
You know, it can still take time. It still takes time, so it's, you know, it's completely understandable. That's good, man. So what else is going on with the channel? You got any features coming up? You've been doing a few little short points of discussion that you've been putting up on your channel. Anything new coming up, or what are you working on?
Well, that's just it. This time of year, I don't have enough time to commit to anything in particular. So as I get time to go live, which is usually when I'm driving down the road, I will continue to do that. And yeah, just keep looking out for some of my short rant videos, and eventually I'd like to get something fairly regular, but I just don't know for sure when I'm going to be able to commit to that. So in the meantime, just kind of keep those notifications going.
All right. You got a birthday coming up here pretty soon?
What? Who told you that?
I don't know. It's some Facebook invite you sent me. 21 years old. You're coming up on 21.
I may or may not
years
be
old.
celebrating the 10th anniversary of my 29th birthday this Thursday.
Oh, Guapo's going to be 21 years old today. Woohoo! Awesome.
I would like a plethora of piñatas.
So tell me something, Hefe. What is a plethora? Because I mean, surely El Guapo wouldn't say what a plethora is unless I truly knew what a plethora was. What is a plethora? Something like that. Three Amigos. You guys never seen it before. Three Amigos is. I think I know every dang line from that movie. So, all right. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. We're going to do a little bit of Nebraska talk here this morning about just a really couple cool announcements. So, Daniels, you and I will kind of present that, and it'll be a good one. So, thanks, man, for joining us. Okay, Night Strike. What is new in your world, man? What's going down?
Sigh. I'm kind of depressed.
Why? Did she break your heart?
Whoa!
No.
Don't say that. Don't say that D word.
Everybody is going on and on about, gun streamer this and that, and there's just no love for GunTube. It's kind of depressing.
Hey man, if you would have waited like 35 seconds, I would have plugged that for you.
There's enough room for multiple gun channels in a man's life. I mean, it's okay. It's okay.
Dude, it's better for Travis to break gun streamer than GunTube.
We're working on it.
Well,
you gotta
if
diversify.
they put all of Travis's videos over to gun streamer, they will break it.
They did, and it didn't. I tried. I was so disappointed. They're the ones that wanted to pour. They said, "Hey, bring your channel, bring all your videos." I'm like, "Okay," and they did, and it did not break it.
And I'm surprised that they didn't break. Oh.
What's that? Oh,
but yeah, kind of disappointed about that. But life moves on, I guess. So, all right, that's it. Move on.
So what Night Strike didn't talk about is he's got this very awesome pro two-way social media video platform called guntube.org. It is awesome. If you're a content creator, you can put your videos over there. Everything from uploading the video to embedding video. You can go live. Is that right, Night Strike, on GunTube? You can go live now?
You can do live.
You can do live videos if you want to. They're not the kind of place that's going to slap you on the hand and give you a strike and ban you because you showed somebody how to put a bolt carrier group in an AR upper. Because God knows that's where all the problems come from. That's a joke, by the way. So do get over to guntube.org, get yourself a membership, get signed up. I've been on it for a while. I really do enjoy it. It's nice. It's a nice platform. It's easy to use interface. It works well on the mobile, on your phone. So, do check it out.
Who can I email to get all of my videos pulled over onto guntube.org just without me having to do all the work?
That would be nightstrike@gmail.com.
No, you don't email Night Strike. You need to email support@guntube.org.
Aha. Is that
so
possible?
Wait. You can import our whole library?
Yes. Until I run out of hard drive space.
All right. Well, let's start on that today.
Those of us
I did hear a bit of backpedal.
Well,
yes,
I mean,
there is a bit of backpedal because I'm thinking. John, I might be able to. I might be able to take his content because he didn't have a lot of it. Travis P11, on the other hand, oh good lord, I don't think I have.
You're gonna have to pay extra for that.
That's what I was about to say. Those of us who don't have enough to ruin GunTube, yeah, that'll be all right. But
just because I put up 5 videos a week doesn't mean I'm trying to take down any particular platform.
Listen,
okay?
Travis, it's not 5 videos a week. It's 5 videos a day. Get it right.
You put up 5 videos an hour every day.
No, I did 2 in one day, and you guys think that the sky is falling. I did because I had to make an emergency announcement about G1 Transformers, and then after that, I put up a video on range tester cleaning video. I got a bunch of them in the cache ready to go. So,
have you ordered the Transformers yet? Can we talk about that for a second?
I can't get them. Yeah, if you guys aren't aware, Walmart's going to be selling the G1 Transformers made from the original molds and casts of the original toys from back in the 80s. They're going to do Starscream, Hot Rod, a bunch of the little ones like Bumblebee and his crew. The Constructicons, they're going to sell it as a 6-figure pack for $74.99. Which really, the way that they're selling, the prices they're selling them at, it's proportional to what it was when we bought that stuff back in 1984. Boxes are going to be the same, but I noticed.
What's an original Constructicon set going to be worth? Because I still have one.
Okay, out of the box played with, not.
Oh yeah, they're played with hard.
If they're in the box unsealed, you could pretty much buy a car with it. I mean, because it's ungodly what an unopened Transformer brings these days. I had one. I had Kickback, the little Insecticon grasshopper that was in an unopened package. I think I sold it for $200, $250. That's just one little tiny guy. So, Tony, what's up?
This just proves that people are morons.
Because we want to go back and vicariously relive our childhood? Oh, of course not.
But to spend that much on a toy,
$34? Yeah. That's nothing, man. Have you seen what kids' toys cost these days? Holy crap, man. Junk is $34. All right. But we're talking Transformers, we're talking the original. I mean, the price of that's priceless to be able to make that little noise again,
I'm telling you, you ought to be able to buy your kid, every time you buy your kid a toy, you need to buy 2 of them and put one in a freaking closet somewhere.
No. See, us guys, all right, we're going to play with this stuff again. We're going to take it out of the package and enjoy it. It's not going to sit on the shelf. Collectors, people on eBay, those are the people that buy it and put it away 30 years from now so they can resell it.
That's why none of mine is still in the packaging, because I got them as a kid and
blew them up with firecrackers, painted them with smoke bombs, lit them on fire, whatever.
I'm not sure I have any GI Joe toys that still have their thumbs.
I had from their inception to 1975. I had every Hot Wheels and Matchbox car made, every one of them, and I gave them away.
Dude, oh my God. I mean, even I was working at Toys R Us in the 90s, and the Hot Wheel collectors were rabid. I mean, they would send their children in to ask you if you could get a fresh box out so the kids could look through, and the kids were looking for certain ones. It was ridiculous. I mean, Hot Wheels rabbit. I mean, they're cool. They're cool, but the Hot Wheels rabbit hole, man, that is its own little subculture. Nothing against it. I mean, I've got a box full of them. They're played with, obviously.
Travis, that range said something really bad out there on the chat. You need to see that.
What did we just do? I had Kickback, and you put the link up again.
No. I got Travis P11
breaking in my gun safe to review my guns because Stan was busy and couldn't get him anything to review. What are you talking about? I just reviewed a gun at his shop 2 days ago, midnight. Dude, I've got the Ruger Alaskan locked up, ready to go out to the range as soon as I pick up some 454 Casull. It's never ending, my friend. It is never ending. Hootie Who says he's got his Ruger Ranch rifle in. Hootie Who, that's awesome. Hootie Who, what caliber did you go with? Did you say you were going to go 308 or 30-06, or did you go 762 by 39? Hands down, my favorite bolt action rifle. I mean, it's not the smoothest action on the planet, but it is so cheap to shoot. It is so much fun. Yourself a couple 20-round mags, and you're good to go.
The Ranch isn't available in a long action, is it?
No, I don't believe so. No.
Which is why I will never buy one.
Sorry, man. I love it. I love shooting it because it's just a blast. But
how many action is better? Change my mind.
Of course, I'm not going to argue with you on that. But I mean, it's $150 cheaper too, so you get what you pay for. So Jim snuck in here. Jim, are you taking a break from home remodeling?
For this weekend, I am.
Ooh, all right, man. So what's new in your world? What's going down?
Oh, same old.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a little warm weather here.
Oh, I heard that. My buddy lives down in Wiley, Texas. It was like 105 or 110 there yesterday.
Oh yeah, it's hotter. It's hotter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area than it is here.
And he said it's about the hottest place in the country. It's sort of like Death Valley.
I can that shit too.
We're mid 80s with like 60% humidity, so it's sticky outside, but it's tolerable. And then in the mornings, it's like 65 or 70, so it's really nice.
I laugh at your 60% humidity.
Oh, I could have 80. We've had some 80s and 90s, but it's right before storm rolls, and it's God, you can swim in it, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. So, Jim, real quick, anything new in your world in terms of firearms? Are you pursuing any purchases or anything kind of getting your interest right now?
At the moment, optics. I'm trying to. I'm interested in turning my Smith & Wesson SD into an optic.
Okay.
So,
looking at getting like does anybody make a slide for it that's got that RMR attachment on the rear?
No. That's going away. It's not that. That's getting sold, and I'm looking for some sort of AR magnified optic.
Oh, okay.
I got 2 scopes for you, and they're real cheap. One is a Nikon Pro Staff 3-9. I guess I'll throw in a set of rings if it's for an AR. And I also have a Nico Sterling Panamax, which actually has a very wide field of view for a 1-inch tube. It's a 3 to 9 power, 40 millimeter objective. So both of those I'm selling for $60 a piece.
Wow. Like I came to the right place to talk about optics.
See tacos and
That
French
wasn't
fries
on
is
the
saying.
agenda today, was it?
What's that?
I mean, they're
That wasn't
both.
on the agenda today, was it, Travis? Optics?
No, but I'm up for anything, man. I'm cool for whatever, you know. We talk about optics for a little while. We got a lot of stuff ahead of us, but we can chat some optics. I don't care. It's all good.
Yeah, they're both $200 optics. So, I mean, I don't use them very harshly. So,
I'm gonna read up on those. I might be hitting you up later.
There you go. Save a little money, man. Help out. Help feed a hungry AWAG. Help feed a hungry AWAG. So
not my hunger. It's not hungry me. It's my broken car.
It's your broken car and your PSL addiction. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh man, tell you what. So real quick, tacos and French fries is saying he's thinking about getting a Ruger Ranch rifle after watching the videos that I put up. Again, I just did it for I wanted cheap ammo. I wanted, a nice 30 caliber bolt action that I could shoot at the range all day, and I pretty much found it. So they're not the cheapest. I wish they were maybe 50 or 75 bucks cheaper, but they're like 400 bucks, I think, 375, somewhere around there. But you got that rail on the top, so you can bolt anything wherever you want. So David Bowling is with us too. Good morning, David. All right. Let's go ahead and get started here. Okay, so Georgia Trucker, GA Trucker, had a question for us, and he said that he was thinking about getting a roll bar. What is it? MP3 finish done on a SIG P228, non-West German made. From what he could find online, it was an 05. Okay, then he said he's also thinking about a Cerakote job on a Taurus PT145. Got it for 250 bucks, and the slide looks a little bit rough. First of all, Cerakote jobs, man, they can dress up a gun and make it look really nice. Don't know if you were going to send it in or do it yourself, Georgia Trucker. But, it's a nice way to refresh a gun or just to change it to the color that you want. I don't know, guys, what's your opinion on the Cerakote before we talk about the MP3 finish?
I'm a very big fan of Cerakote. If it's done properly, which means you take the parts to a professional who is certified in order to do those Cerakoting things, and they will basically sandblast it. They will polish it if needed, and then they will apply the coating. And depending on what you bring them, if it's a pistol, it's probably going to be around $150, $200. And if you bring them a whole rifle, then it's probably going to be like $260 to $300 around there. So they're very, very durable finishes.
Gun should be blue or stainless steel, nickel plated, whatever the hell you want to call it, shiny.
It's always another option too. You could get the gun reblued, which is something you could always do too if you didn't want to go the Cerakote route, or you could reblue it yourself or whatever, cold bluing, and get yourself a kit and do it at home, or Okay, so not a bad idea. Now he was talking about that P228. So AWAG, what did you want to tell us about that P228 or the P series? What do you need to know about if you're going to think about getting the firearm finish redone?
Well, here's the thing: is most of your P series pistols, the P226 in this, my P226 and all of them are actually, everything that's metal on them is stainless steel, and then it's basically impregnated with a type of finish. So it would kind of be counterintuitive to get it refinished unless it's severely scratched. Just leave the coating on it. I mean, if you want another color, yeah, sure, go for it. It's okay to get it Cerakoted. It's just going to be a little more difficult for the painter to get the. It's going to make the finish come out weird because of the differences in. Wait, is he getting it Cerakoted or is it a different finish?
The SIG was MP3, was the Robar MP3 finish, electroless nickel based finish for steel, stainless steel, and aluminum alloys.
Okay, then
basically puts a Teflon coating, impregnates a Teflon coating in the gun.
Yeah, that's going to be okay, but it still might be a little difficult depending on what how they actually did the original finish. It could end up changing the the dynamics of the Teflon coating a little bit. You're probably not going to see any differences in it, but other than that, go for it.
They say that MP3 is a satin gray, non-reflective color, and basically they say cleanup. It says usually requires only a soft cloth, and that's it. It says corrosion resistant, high lubricity, and a low friction coefficient, so you could more or less run the gun dry.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I've never had a firearm with that kind of fish. It looks nice looking at the website. Definitely looks pretty cool. So, I mean, obviously, you know, if they don't think they can do the gun, they're going to tell you that they can't do it. They would know that alloy or that metal and decide at that point if that's a finish that they would do for you or not. So I'm sure they've had other people send in SIGs. So it's hard telling, but yeah. All right, so man, a lot of comments going on over up on the YouTube side. Over on Gun Channel side, Patrick said it was 110 at his house in Denton yesterday. Too hot to go outside. And Patrick said for optics, I love primary arm scopes with ACSS reticles. Yeah, those are very cool.
Yeah, they're good.
Very nice. That's primary arms. Again, you're getting a lifetime guarantee, just like a Vortex, for less money than a Vortex. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to, depending on the model, depending on which line you're purchasing from. So. All right, so real quick, we just want to start off before we get into the topic of carry, hunting, combat, EDC knives, and so on. Sandhills, we've got ourselves a live town hall meeting from the Nebraska Firearms Owners Association over on YouTube. Sandhills, you want to kind of fill people in on the NFOA and what they do for us here?
NFOA stands for Nebraska Firearms Owners Association. So they're kind of like the GOA, but just smaller. They're Nebraskans. Travis and I actually had the pleasure to meet their president and a couple board members at the first 2A rally that we did back in November down in Lincoln.
Yep.
But the president, her name is Trish Harold. She's a super sweet lady. This is it's a nonprofit organization. It is all of the positions are unpaid. These folks all have day jobs. They don't make any money doing what they do for the NFOA, but they're as far as I know, they're the largest lobbying group in the whole state. And unlike some other lobbying groups on a national level that we won't mention, the NFOA actually will fight tooth and nail to protect our rights as gun owners in Lincoln. And so they've actually they go and testify quite often in front of the Judiciary Committee or the state legislature in general. But anything that comes along that is an infringement of our rights, they will speak out against it. They've got some attorneys on their board as well, on staff, so that they can put together a case of why this is or isn't constitutional. But NFOA is doing a lot of great things, and becoming a member is free. You don't have to give them any money if you don't want to. And I do know for a fact you don't even have to be in Nebraska to join up. So if you want to support the NFOA, you can do so no matter what state you're in.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely awesome. And what's funny is after talking to Patricia, she just said on any given day that there's like a hardcore gun bill coming up in the Nebraska legislature, it'll be the NFOA and the NFOA only in defense of a pro firearm bill, with about a dozen antis testifying against it. Where's the NRA? Where's our lobbyist? Where's our NRA guy? There should be one in every single state capitol building 365 days a week. Where's the NRA?
Well,
instead, we got these people that are in unpaid positions that are taking off to work to go testify at our state capitol to try to save our gun rights. Stuff that's on file. These bills are on file. Anybody can look them up. In fact, we have a monthly newsletter that comes out that tells you what's going to be debated, and exactly what's coming down the pipe and when they're going to talk about it. And so it's an uphill battle for pro gun rights even in Nebraska. You
want to talk uphill battle? Our Illinois State Rifle Association, in response to two laws that got signed into effect last week, one being the red flag law, one being a 72-hour wait on long guns.
Mm-hmm.
Our Illinois State Rifle Association said it was about time they passed these laws to save lives.
Oh, Lord.
That is why I will never give them bastards a nickel.
Yeah. Now, NFOA is the exact opposite of that kind of group. They will never compromise. They will never trade our rights away to, give something up to try and get something or try not to lose more. So that's one of the best parts about when we do have gun laws that are debated in Lincoln. We've got somebody who's actually fighting the good fight for the Second Amendment side. So that's really good. But we actually had a couple battles that they might have been uphill battles, but they went the right way, didn't they, Travis?
Yeah, we've actually got some good news for you. Hang on one second. I want to post a quick link for Moobud out there on the YouTube side. He has a question. I'll have to fix that there in a second. Yeah, there's actually some good information. I did put the link for that town hall meeting. If you guys want to see how local Pro 2A or statewide Pro 2A legislation or efforts can work, check out the link that I posted for that live meeting. If you just want to see how they run it, the agenda, what they discuss, and so on. So real quick, just for a second here, Moobud, I'm going to post the link for you here. It's got too many characters, so I'm going to take a few out and see if I can do this. No. All right, so Moobud, here's that address you keep asking about, okay? I had to look it up. There you go, sir. All right, yeah, so Nebraska, let me just go ahead and do a screen share, and Sandals, you and I can comment on this real quick. You know, whenever you hear about gun legislation or gun laws coming up in the news, it's generally because we're losing some sort of rights, or we're gonna have to fight to get something back that we used to get. So this was featured on NTV, ABC, loosening gun restrictions. People who are released, and these are bills that just got passed on Thursday in our Unicam in our legislature. People who are released from mental health facilities will get the opportunity to ask a mental health board to reinstate their rights to buy a handgun or obtain a concealed carry permit. The law requires boards to reinstate gun rights if petitioners show clear and convincing evidence that the restriction should be removed. Now, they don't say if you have to have legal representation for this. They don't say what the procedure is going to be, but the law is it's now in. So if you've lost your rights because of some sort of a mental health evaluation, you can get them back or try to get them back. Santos, what do you think about that? Yeah, or guys, anybody? Yeah.
Sounds like the burden of proof is not on the state, but on you. That's backwards.
Well, it is, but here's the thing: is this is somebody who has already lost their rights to purchase a gun. So it would be like if someone was a convicted felon and appealed to get their rights back. The burden is on you in that case.
And you can in Nebraska, you can go through a lawyer, you can write an appeal that has to be signed off by the governor if you lose your rights because of, say, a domestic violence conviction, felony.
So yeah, but at that point you have to show some proof of rehabilitation.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's what this I'm sure will be too. But for anyone who has lost their gun rights due to mental health reasons, if for whatever the case was, if they've been released from an institution and they are the institution says you're all right now, you had some issues but we've worked them out, then you can appeal and get your rights back. It's not a permanent loss of rights anymore.
Again, the point is that this is a step in the direction to be able to do something to get your rights back instead of a flat out denial. I mean, you might have somebody that was put into a mental health institution as a teenager and that's still there, or maybe they were a young adult, something happened, they were institutionalized, they got out 20, 30 years later, they're fine. They're living a productive life in society, they've never been in trouble, and they want to go buy a firearm and they can't. Now they have an opportunity to appeal to try to get that right back. So again, it's better than nothing. It's a good start. And I don't know what the procedure exactly involves. It might be interesting to try to get some more information on that, but that was one that went through. The other one that's a really big one is UNL, University of Nebraska Lincoln, has a championship rifle team, a women's rifle team. It was co-ed when I was there, when I was on the team. I don't know if it's co-ed now, but they do have a women's rifle team that's fully funded. It says another new gun law would let university-sanctioned firearms teams possess rifles, pistols, and shotguns on campus. So their trap shooting team, their competitive pistol team, their rifle team, they can have the guns on their person if they're loading them in their vehicles. Now, when I was there, the guns were in lockers in the military naval building on campus. They were locked up in our gun room, and we had to have our gear on. We had to have our appropriate clothing on so people knew we were members of the rifle team while we were carrying out our rifle cases and equipment and so on. You wouldn't walk out with the exposed gun, but you would have it on your person, loading it in your vehicle on school property, which the only way to get that done was to have that approval. Now, that was just for the rifles. But this is definitely a good thing. So, Sandos, what do you think about that?
I think it's a great deal. I think that there's been who was it? Was it the rifle team that already had access to store their guns on campus? But there was only the one team on the whole campus or anywhere in the state who was allowed to do that, and any other college funded teams, if there was a trap team, anything like that, they couldn't keep their guns on campus, so they had to figure out where to store them. And especially if you're going to school in a town where your house isn't, or you're not from there, you live in a dorm, then what do you do with your gun if you can't keep it on the campus?
Yeah, when I was going to school there, they required you to check your firearm with the city police department. They would lock it up, and if you ever needed it, you go check it out, obviously during their office hours. So it was kind of inconvenient if you were somebody that wanted to store your hunting rifle, can't keep it in your dorm room, so you got to put it somewhere.
Can't keep it in your vehicle more than 24 hours.
Yeah, Lincoln doesn't allow you to do that either. Yeah, that's even is that residents and non-residents?
I don't know. I don't remember when was the last time I spent the night in Lincoln.
Man,
and when I did, it was in a hotel, and if I had a firearm with me, it was next to me, not in the vehicle.
Oh, of course. The last one is LB 902. It says, still another pro-gun law will prohibit local law enforcement from disclosing individual gun permit records to the public, a policy cheered by gun rights advocates as a way to protect firearm owners from harassment. Open government advocates say it's unnecessary. So I don't know what they mean by open government advocates. Okay.
Well,
yeah.
What it is, it's not necessary yet, and now it'll never become an issue, because if anyone wants to start a registry and require law enforcement agencies to disclose this info, it is now prohibited by state law. They can't give it out. There'll never be a registry.
Yeah. Which, you hear about horror stories like in California and other states. In Nebraska, I remember when there was a lot of talk about gun restriction during the Obama era, there was some possibilities of things like ARs getting banned or restricted or whatever. Nebraska had a bill on standby that said that the federal government would not be allowed to come in and confiscate firearms that are currently legally allowed to gun-owning citizens. They would not allow or agencies or organizations to come in and confiscate those weapons from Nebraska citizens. They would not allow it.
Along that lines, currently in Illinois, we have, at last check, 33 counties that have declared themselves gun sanctuary counties, and another 35 that are in process.
Good. Yeah, I think that the local people are, the cities and the states are saying, or just the cities in general are saying, no, you're not going to come in and infringe on our rights, because we're not bothering anybody anyway. So why do you have to come after our guns? What's the point? So now there's go ahead, guys.
It's about time the silent majority stood up and was counted and said, look, I know that you're hearing all over on the news about dumbheads doing bad things with a firearm, but look how many more of us are not doing bad things with our firearms, and we're not going to sit around and just take the punishment for all these idiots anymore.
Yeah. It's just, we try to be polite, respectful people, but then there's a point where you're going to stand up and say, you know what, we've done everything we can to try to work with you. Now leave us alone. So,
well, and all these counties that are considering themselves sanctuary counties, it goes back to what Tim at Military Arms Channels always talk about: peaceful non-compliance. It's different than a revolution or anything like that. We're not going to go to war here. We're just going to quietly say, federal government, no.
I believe in our case, it's more state government than federal.
Either way, yeah, but it's good that it's happening, and I'm happy to hear that from you.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm happy too. My county's one of them.
All right.
Good stuff. Now there's a lot of chat going on over on the YouTube side right now. It's talking about the Sacha Baron Cohen. What is it? I Am America or something? It's not This Is America, but he did a mockumentary that basically went after the Pro 2A movement, trying to make us all look like idiots, and through a series of creative editing and prompts and triggering, basically they were able to make us look like a bunch of morons. So I'm not even going to watch that documentary after watching what people said about it and stuff, and it made Eric Pratt look like a moron from the GOA. So yeah, a lot of people were chatting about that over on the YouTube side. So it had it was a Showtime documentary that was, kind of not really a spoof. It was Sacha dressing up as 4 different characters or 3 different characters, and people thought he was a real person, and kind of doing like a Michael Moore style kind of interview set with people, trying to make us law-abiding citizens look like idiots, look like a bunch of fuds. So yeah, I'm not even going to bother with it. It had like 300,000 viewers on its own. I'm sure it's going to have more because of the controversy it's generating, but I refuse to watch it. I'm not going to support it at all.
It must take some pretty creative editing to make Eric Pratt look like a moron, because, I mean, that dude is very well spoken, very well versed. I mean, he knows what's going on.
Well, they can cut stuff and paste stuff together, and yeah.
I have a question. How much editing does it take to make Sacha Baron Cohen not an idiot? That must take some skill.
Yeah. Sean Pondery says, didn't he get thrown out of one shop because the owner recognized him? There was a Southern California gun shop owner that basically threw him out of his shop. He's like, get out of here. Which they probably made that guy look bad too through creative editing. So yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, when I started watching it, first I thought maybe it was going to be kind of something kind of funny, kind of fun to watch. And I was watching the commercials. I'm like, no, I'm not even going to bother like that. Vandalisca Vlog says the GOA looked like they had no hands the way that they dropped the ball. Yeah. I might watch that interview just to see what that was like, to see what actually happened and what was said. I've seen clips, read about it on Truth About Guns, and I'm just like, I'm not even going to support it. So let's see here. Okay, so let's go and get into our first topic for today. Just a little discussion. We've had dedicated episodes to knives on this show. I think we had an entire show where we talked about knives in general. So we'll focus on EDC, combat, and hunting. I just want to run it through the panel, guys. What is your favorite just everyday carry knife? And it doesn't, just what works best for you. Tony, do you have an EDC knife?
I have a Schrade that I don't know what the hell model it is, but yeah, just tri-blade pocket knife.
Schrade Colliery gets the job done. No, nothing too fancy, but it works.
I got a bunch of them, pocket knives, but I like one that I can carry comfortably in just front pants pocket. So I picked one that fit well.
Cool.
I bought a buck that I like really well, but it's too damn big to carry around in my pocket.
See, that's part of it, is like how big of an EDC, because the one that I use, it's borderline, just a little large, especially if you're trying to use anything other than, say, a pair of jeans or a pair of khakis or something. It's a little bit cumbersome, but I've got a couple different that I rotate through the collection. So yeah, Schrade makes great knives. I got some older Schrade pocket knives sitting around that my dad gave me that are just well built. They do the job. So yeah. Now me, I always have to have a pocket clip, because in Nebraska, if the knife isn't exposed, it could be considered a dangerous weapon or a concealed weapon, depending on the blade length. So we're stupid like that. So that's why I pretty much quit carrying my Victorinox Cadet, which is my absolute favorite pocket knife. I actually keep it just a little gearbox over here for when I do work around here, when I'm working on guns and stuff. But yeah, I like the Victorinox knives, are really nice too.
Oddly enough, I just got 5 of them in the mail yesterday.
Cadets?
Oh, no. Just pocket knives.
Oh, pocket knives. Okay. See, I love the Victorinox Cadets. They come in a bunch of different finishes and stuff. So yeah. So Tony, do you have any solid recommendations for somebody that just wants a good everyday carry pocket knife, whether it has a clip or not? What do you suggest?
The buck knives hold the edge pretty well and fairly easy to sharpen. Same with the Schrade.
Good high quality steel in the blades.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
As far as recommendations, no, whatever you like. I have mine for basically cleaning of animals when I get them, and just general use of a knife, opening packages and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's not a defensive thing at all.
Oh yeah.
But I've got 11 of them laying on my desk here, and I don't really have a favorite.
So you're like with knives, like I am with flashlights.
Maybe.
Okay, so Jim, I'm going to come to you for flashlight advice, and Tony, I'll come to you for knife advice. Heck yeah, man, we're sitting good. Hey, Squib just joined in. All right, Squib, so we're going to put you on the spot right away. Do you have a favorite EDC pocket knife? What do you recommend, Squib?
Does a Leatherman count?
Sure. Hey, they got great blades on those things, man. Yeah. They work really well. They're very sharp.
Well, I mean, yeah, it does have a blade. I consider it more of a tool than a knife, but the Leatherman Wave.
Mm-hmm. Does the job, gets it done. And again, it could be a pocket tool. That's definitely not a problem. So,
I mean, you're not considering an EDC knife a defensive weapon, are you?
It can be. Like the one that I carry for an EDC is a bit cumbersome for simple tasks. It's more of a defensive weapon, but it's not a combat knife by any stretch. So it's whatever you want. Just give people some ideas for everyday carry knives, you know?
Yeah, I think of an EDC knife as more of a utility tool.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Getting a lot of good suggestions popping out over on the YouTube side. And I'm keeping an eye on the gun channel side. And again, they're just talking about some rights over there too. So, all right, cool. So Squib, thanks for joining us this morning. Good stuff. Sandhills, do you have a favorite EDC? I guess I never asked you about that. What do you prefer?
It kind of depends on the day. I don't always carry a knife with me that would be a defensive knife, but I've almost always got my little outdoor edge pocket knife in my pocket. And I don't know what the name of the model is, but any place like Cabela's that sells outdoor edge knives usually sells just this little tiny fella. It's only about a 2-inch blade. But it's what I use to open up packages when they come at work, or half the time I'll use that to like pry the back off of a phone or something like that. You know, it's just a good little blade. And anything from outdoor edge is going to hold an edge really, really well, and then take an edge really, really well too. So What'd you pick up in Wichita? Didn't you get a knife at the Cabela's in Wichita or not? That was a Spyderco.
Spyderco, yeah.
Spyderco's good.
Yeah, that's been a good knife. And I'm kind of as far as knives go, I'm kind of a sucker for anything that Kershaw builds.
Yeah.
Just because they're super sharp right out of the box. They hold their edge really well, but you don't always have to spend a ton of money. I mean, you can get a good Kershaw knife for $30.
Yeah, I got a Curlo Spring Assist for $22 at Walmart, and it's not like a super long blade, but you could use it for self-defense if you needed to. But yeah, I've got a Kershaw in my pocket right now that'll show up when we get to me.
Kershaw makes one. It's called the Fatback, and it doesn't have like your typical Tanto point or like a drop point or something like that. It actually just comes to almost a spear point. The spine is straight, and then the blade doesn't have much of a curve on the belly. It just kind of goes. It's almost like a triangle looking blade, really thick on the spine, and it's not really. I mean, it looks wicked. It's got a super sharp point on it and a super sharp blade, and it's got the flipper lever on the back of the blade with the spring assist, so it deploys really quick.
Right out, yeah.
Usually, if I'm someplace where I can't take a firearm, then I try to have that with me, just because I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Oh, of course, definitely.
But I have no skills, no training on fighting with a knife, so I don't know. I'd probably end up cutting myself worse than I hurt anybody else if I ever had to actually use the thing in a scuffle.
Vandalisco Vlogs is saying Tanto style Tanto style blade. Don't they usually just curve up and then go straight up like that? They've got like a 30 degree bend in the front. Yeah.
Yeah, basically got an angle in it.
The 30 to 40 degree angle, depending on the manufacturer.
Yeah. Cool beans, man. All right. Let's see here. Moving down the line. And Nice Strike, do you have an EDC knife? I guess I've never asked you about pocket knives before. What do you like to carry?
I usually just carry a multi-tool and a Swiss Army knife.
Cool. Now, Swiss Army knife, do you have the little tiny one with the toothpick tweezers, or do you have like a camping one with more blades in it?
I've got the multi one where it's got a little bit of everything. Cool. I learned very well young on that sometimes the MacGyver route is the best route.
Man, I mean, it
you have to have one that has a little bit of everything. Otherwise, you're screwed.
No, it is very. I know. I hate the feeling of not having a pocket knife with me, and unfortunately, I can't carry one at work. But
just because I have a multi-tool doesn't mean that in an emergency, I'm not going to use the pocket knife anyways.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's like I said, the Leathermans have very sharp, very good blades on the knife part. Blades are maybe a little bit smaller, maybe 2.5 inches. That's about it, but they're great. They're not bad. Got one sitting over here. I think I've got a wingman sitting over here behind me. So, cool. Jim, what about you? What's your EDC pocket knife?
So at this very moment, it's the one I put in the side chat that I got for $20 on Prime Day.
Let's go and bring that up. Let people see it real quick.
It's a Kershaw.
Oh, okay. All right. Cryo 2. Is that the one that you bought?
Yeah.
Bring that up real quick here. We'll do a screen share for everybody.
It's got the little Kershaw assisted opening blade that pops open pretty easy, and
Now the grips, is it a little slick on the sides or not? Just looking at it.
It is a little slick on the sides.
Okay, this guy right here.
Yeah, it's
the
not.
Cryo 2 pocket knife.
Not really textured.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like it's the same price right there as it was on Prime Day. It didn't go back up.
They probably got a bunch of them sitting around. They haven't sold them yet, but
right.
So you got the 4-position. Oh, so you got a multi-position for your pocket clip. You can have as much or as little exposed as you want for it.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Oddly enough, the 5 knives I got in, I bought on Prime Day too.
Funny.
Oh yeah. I should have been looking at knives on Prime Day. I don't know what I was doing on Prime Day. My wife kept sending me links for stuff. I think I was working on Spanish homework, but
I like that clip. That's got that clip that makes the whole knife disappear, so nothing sticks out of your pocket but the clip.
So it's still unconcealed technically, as long as it's not covered. It's still unconcealed for states where you got to worry about that.
Yeah, and Texas did fix their knife laws to a good degree recently, and back in 2015, it turns out. But the other thing I carry, this is new, so I've been toting it around to just see what it's like. The one I've carried before is more of a box cutter utility knife. It was the Milwaukee Fastback 3.
I'm going to bring that up real quick. So I'm just for screen sharing. I was going to check it out. Fastback. Here you go. Fastback 3 utility knife with 4-blade storage. Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that one's nice because, for one, you don't have to worry about sharpening. It's not got a long blade, but I don't use my knife for anything but utility stuff around my lab and at home and cutting open bags of mortar and things like that.
Mortars. Where'd you buy one of those?
No. Grout flooring.
I've got pallets. I've got pallets of them.
I'll give you $5 for one.
But no, the cool thing about that is you can flick it open one-handed pretty easy. You just hit that black button and flick it open.
Okay, so it's not a spring assist at all, though, right?
No, it's not a spring assist, but you just flip. You hold in that black button, you flip it out. You hold the black button in, you flip it back. It's easy to do. Just flick of the wrist.
That's pretty cool, man. $22. That could definitely, and that, especially when you're working out in the garage, working on stuff, you got to cut through some wires. I saw it's got a wire cutter on it also, like a stripper, and then it's all wire stripper. Calm down, guys. And a little blade. That's pretty sweet, man. Just to show you, like Leatherman knife blades, in case you don't really know. Like here's a Rev, and that's what you got for a blade on the Rev. Let's lock the screen here. There we go. So you can see you got yourself a decent little about 2.5-inch blade. It's sharp as heck too. It'll do the job. It's not bad. And then Vandal was asking about the Tonto style blade. Let me show that real quick. I've got an example of one here. Let's see. AWAG, what about you? Why don't you go ahead and share your EDC knife with us? What do you like to carry?
My carry, if I can bring up a page for this so I can screen share it, is a Spyderco Paramilitary 2.
Oh, you lucky. I want one so bad. And the Spyderco factory is about 5 hours west of my house. I could actually go tour their factory and their store if I wanted to out there in Golden, Colorado. I would love to go out there and visit that place. And driven by it and haven't had a chance to visit it, though. But yeah, Paramilitary 2 is awesome. They got the 3 out now, too, don't they?
They do, but I kind of like the 2 a little better. This is the one that I carry. I will screen share it for you guys.
Let's just
here.
Let's road trip next month, Travis. I'm heading to Denver, hopefully in August.
Hey, it's only about an hour or two away, so.
Mine has the G10 grips just like this, but it actually has holes drilled, and it has a clip on the side so that you can literally put the clip anywhere. You can put it up here, you can put it down here, you can put it on the other side down here, you can put it on the other side up here. So it's very, very versatile. And what I did was when I got it, I took it all apart and I polished where the blade is. So it's so smooth to flick it with your thumb. It's so quick. It's almost like a either an assisted or a complete like spring actuated knife. It's just so quick. And the blade is CMP. What is it? S30V, I believe. Oh yeah, here it is.
CPM. Yeah.
It's a stainless steel blade, and it is just so sharp. I have actually cut myself a few times with it.
And that $150, is that pretty much par for the course in terms of price? Is that about what you spend? Yeah. You got to watch out. I would probably recommend going through Amazon instead of eBay because there are clones out there. There are fakes that people sell. And you wouldn't know because it says Spyderco. It looks exactly the same. You want to make sure you buy from a reputable seller. If anything, just buy directly from the factory and give them a business because there are some Chinese-made Spydercos, but for the most part, they're an American company. The majority of their knives are American-made. They do have some imported knives because they have to get them from those countries because of what they make, like certain styles of blades and stuff like that, like Japanese blades or the ones that have like all the swirly patterns on the blades and stuff. I can never think of what that's called.
Now, another thing that I can, if you guys like those old traditional style knives that have the wood handles and that are, I think Matt was going through this before with knives and what was it, the rat tail shanks and
you
those.
Full, or is it? Yeah. A tang? Is it the tang? Talking about full tang? Yeah. Real quick here, this is the Tonto style blade that we're talking about. This is just the inexpensive Kube knives multi-tool that I got to test out. So that's what we're talking about, Vandal, in case you're not sure. So yeah, that's a nice little pocket knife for $15. This thing's pretty sweet.
That one's kind of a combo looking, or not a combo, but I mean, the top of that kind of dishes out a little bit more like a clip point, but the belly of it looks like a Tonto with that angle in it.
It's cool, man. I do like it. Yeah,
that's pretty neat.
Very sharp.
That's interesting looking. I don't think I've ever seen one with quite that contour on the top. That's neat.
And ironically enough, I've got a tabletop review for you to watch if you want to on this knife. It's got a saw blade in it.
I have seen that review. It's a good looks like a good knife.
If you guys want the traditional style fixed blade knives like this, check these guys out. I actually at one of the paintball events I went to for work, I actually met the owners of this company, and they're great. They're a very, very nice couple, and it's they were showing me a sample, and I actually bought this one right here. It's a Kalahari Thorn. I bought this for my mom for Mother's Day. Now, granted, these are not necessarily cheap knives, but they have an unlimited warranty. You could send it back to them if anything goes wrong with it. So this knife cost me about $220. So it's a little on the steep side, but they are absolutely beautiful knives. They're incredibly sharp, and the warranty kind of pays for itself because if you use it a lot, and that's what they said, is they basically make these knives to be used.
Yeah.
So it's a full tang, which the blade runs the entire length of the knife. So it's a very, very nice knife. It's very well balanced as well, if you're into that.
See, I've thought about whether it's some sort of polymer handle or nice wood or whatever. I've thought about what I would want a nice fixed blade knife like that for.
Yeah, and they're made in Michigan, so.
So you're going to be doing
there's a guy up here who makes custom knives and I think hatchets or tomahawks or something. And he's got a web page showing what they'll do. I mean, they customize it a little bit, but each one is handmade one at a time. They don't keep anything in stock. And their prices were a lot higher than $220. And I can understand if you want to pay a skilled tradesman an hourly rate to make this for you. I mean, they're just showing their pattern, but to make it, it's mostly labor. It's not material and that sort of thing. But at a certain price point, you got to ask yourself, with what you're doing with it, or what, just the things that can happen with the knife. Do you really want to pay that? But for a gift, a handmade knife or something that's really custom that's definitely, I think, a really nice way to say, show your appreciation with a gift is that the knife is somewhat unique because it was handmade, one-off.
Real quick, Texas Blades did fill me in on this one. I just totally, the name had just passed through my mind. The Damascus style blades. I believe that the Damascus blades from Spyderco, they're not domestically produced. They do import those. But yeah, Damascus is the swirly designs. I just think those are beautiful blades. Very, very nice. So yeah, man, you can, the sky's the limit when it comes to pocket knives. I mean, you can spend, or just knives in general, man. You can spend whatever you want. So
off topic, but have you seen the Damascus steel 1911 that Jesse James made?
Oh, I heard about it, but did not see it. Is it pretty cool? Is it awesome?
It's very cool looking. I don't know, other than the fact that it's very cool looking, I don't know what the value is in it. You got a Jesse James piece of art.
Yeah.
But it was ridiculously expensive.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I thought Damascus steel was brittle. I thought that's not something you wanted to make a gun barrel or a gun out of anymore.
Well, it might be a Damascus design, like slide, like they've patterned the slide to look like a Damascus knife blade, but it's not. It isn't necessarily.
It's not all okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing, Sandhills, but I just figured some people are paying for an ornament, not something that you use.
Well, and you guys all know how I feel about warning labels, so.
Sorry, I had to grab.
They make it ugly.
What? No, I think that if we remove all warning labels, we can breed most of the idiots out in 2 generations.
No, you're giving them too much credit. They don't even read the labels.
Well, that's could be true too. But
so, what do you guys consider sharp?
Oh, like you can take off some arm hair.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna maintain sharpness too. A sharp blade is a blade that's going to maintain its sharpness. So,
I mean, there's the old test where you just take a piece of copy paper and you cut it down the middle. I know that wears on the blade, but if it'll do that, then it's sharp enough.
I usually just if it'll trim a couple hairs off my arm, then I figure it's sharp enough for what I need it for.
I do the cucumber test. See how thin of a piece of cucumber you can get with it.
You're not inspired by Food Travis to do that test, are you? Can you do it as fast as he can?
No, I can't.
Unfortunately not.
The fully semi-automatic knife?
Yeah, fully semi-automatic clip.
Oh,
man.
I figure
your favorite EDC kitchen knife.
Hey, Patriot in the Dark has a question for us. Can you explain the difference between a frame lock and a liner lock and other locks? Anybody want to chime in on that one?
Yeah, I'll give it a go, although I don't really have the visual aids, but
yeah.
And that's okay. For Patriot, that's okay.
I could draw something in crayon, maybe. Sorry, Marines.
This is a Marine reference? Wow. You're fast.
Well, and I'm a couple states away, so I figure I'm safe for now. Like the original locking mechanism was the lock back, where you just got the thing on the back of the handle, like a Spyderco knife, something like that, where it locks open. You push that, and it just pushes a lever down, which unhooks from the blade, and you can close the knife up. A liner lock has got inside the handle. There's the metal liner, which part of that is how do I want to say that? There's a cut in it to where when you open up the blade, part of that liner wants to spring inward, and then it prevents the blade from closing because it's blocking it.
Yeah,
and I got one of them here.
A frame lock works the same way. It just doesn't have the extra pieces like that. That cryo knife is a frame lock, to where it works just like a liner lock, but it doesn't have extra handles on the outside of the liner, so the liner is the frame.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other locking mechanisms out there besides those 3, but
there's
a frame lock.
There's a match lock, a flint lock, and a wheel lock.
That's true. But I don't. But I don't think that's what he was asking.
There's also flapper lock as well.
Well, I've got an old knife here that's probably from the 50s that locks the blade closed. And you have to depress the blade and tip the knife down to get the thing to come open.
Oh, wow. A little bit different design there. Some kind of unique.
Safety.
First time I've ever seen one do it. And it's actually a nice little knife.
I've seen a few automatic knives that had had a lock to keep them closed, just so you didn't hit the button in your pocket.
Hey, David Bowling says that Ginsu knives are his favorite because you never know when you got to cut a tomato in a tin can at the same time.
Food chat!
Ginsu knife commercials they had back in the day. Oh my god. Oh man.
They were ridiculous.
Did anybody else? Anybody else ever have the Ron Popeil kitchen knives? I had a set of those. They were really good. Anything from
We've got a
Ronco
slap chop.
Do you? I've got a fake one. I don't have the original.
Something tells me there's a high resale value
original.
on
They're
those.
both made in the same factory in China. I just
sure.
like going, get to the chopper.
Oh, God. Didn't Ron Popeil cut a brick once? Probably. I mean, he dehydrated, he hydrated, he pureed. He did pretty much everything in the 1980s. So
that's right. You could actually cook a chicken in that rotisserie and then dehydrate it and make chicken jerky out of it.
My grandma has the Showtime oven. I think that's what it was called. So remember, he had the Popeil Pocket Fisherman. That was one that came out way back in the day. I think that was the first thing that he ever invented. It was a little portable fishing pole.
The best thing was the hair in a spray can.
Oh,
that was a Ron Popeil.
Yes, the spray on hair.
It was it was truly hairspray.
I'm waiting for that to make a comeback. That's Oh God. All right. So let me just share real quick my my EDC. So if you want to go on a budget, absolute favorite, any of the Ozark trail knives from Walmart, $3.87. You can afford to lose them. All right, not that I want you to, but these little guys are just awesome, man. They take a lot of abuse. I beat the heck out of this one. This one's about almost 3 years old.
Can you show
and then also, what's that?
Can you show us the lock on that one? That's a liner lock, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you see, who was it? Was it Patriot? Who was asking?
There we go. Yeah.
You can see where that piece of the liner actually kicks off from the left-hand side there beside the clip, and that it actually bends inward. It's just springs in, and you have to push that out of the way, and then the blade will close, and then it wants to flip back open.
Just push itself back up, and then yeah. This has got the little button. This is not a spring assist. These are just, like I said, for $4, man. These things are just awesome. They've always got different designs and different styles coming out. And then I think it was Melvin Nutt that sent me this one. This is my carry knife. This is the Kershaw, designed by Emerson.
Ooh.
This little guy right here it's a sort of frame, I guess you can see. It's kind of has its own style of
that's a frame.
But yeah, this little guy right here. I mean, it's almost too cumbersome to use for light jobs, but I keep it as
that's what the inside of a liner lock looks like. If you just had another piece of those black scales on the other side, it'd be a liner lock, but now it's a frame lock because there's nothing on the outside of that.
Yeah.
So that's exactly how they work. All of those, anything that's not a lock back.
This one, Mel got this one on clearance at Walmart. I want to say for like $15 or something, maybe even $12 or something. That's why he sent it to me.
What's the blade length on that one?
Off the top of my head, I'd have to look it up, to be honest with you. I'm gonna say, I don't know, man, probably 5 inches.
It looks a little longer than the one I just got. Mine's like 3.5 inches, I think.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up and see what it. Tape measure right here. I got one back. No, I don't have one in here. It's in the other room. But yeah, no, we're probably looking at over 4.5 inches, I suppose. But I mean, just as a defensive pocket knife, I always have this in my pocket, especially when I'm out walking early in the mornings with the dog. I mean, I've got my daily carry, my firearm also, but I like to have a nice sturdy pocket knife. But again, it's just a little too cumbersome for small jobs, little cutting jobs. You got this big knife, you're trying to, cut a box open or whatever. That one's kind of a pain. But those are the two that I love both. And Kershaw knives are great. I got a Kuro 2 that I just keep as a little bedside knife in case I need to cut something. Yeah, these little Ozark trails, man, these things are great. They've got all these different designs and styles that they've come out with, but they're sturdy little knives. I mean, they're $4. You really $3.87, I think, is what they cost. So they're decent.
For honorable mention, those of you that are hunters, every time I'm out deer hunting, and I keep it in my pack. I don't always have it on me, so that way I've always got it with me when I'm hunting. But I keep another outdoor edge. It's called a swing blade. Have you guys ever seen the swing blade knife?
Mm-hmm.
It's ingenious for big game hunters. And the one that I have is called a swing blaze because it's got the bright orange handle. Because if you've ever downed a deer out in the grass and then you're dealing with that afterwards, you put your knife down to do something and then you can't find it, especially in the dark. So I recommend the bright orange handle one, but it's actually got a nice just a drop point blade, a really deep bellied blade. It's good for trimming things around. And there it is. And then you push that button on the side of the handle there, and it actually folds shut. But as it folds, then that other side comes out, and it's got basically a hide zipper on it. And it's got a blunt end, so you can take the knife blade part and start the hide open, whichever, if you're going up or down on your deer.
Yeah.
And then flip that around and put that piece underneath with the blade facing up, and just zip your animal just right open there to start the field dressing process.
It's pretty cool, man. $49.99. Is that an okay price, or is that a little bit high?
That's what they're usually on sale for, like at Cabela's. They're usually about a $65 knife.
Oh wow!
When they're not on sale. So
yeah,
that's a heck of a price, actually. I don't think I've ever bought one for less than that. I've got a black one.
People call it a sling blade. I call it a Kaiser blade.
And it got a big old blade shaped like a banana on it.
I reckon.
But if you do deer hunting, I reckon you ought to get a knife like that.
That'll get the job done. That'll do it.
But the nice thing is, I mean, I've used that knife to field dress a deer, and then I've turned around and used it to skin the same deer, and probably done one or two deer aside from that before I had to touch the blade up. It holds the edge really well, and it doesn't take long to put an edge back on it once it gets worn down. And I don't think I've ever had to sharpen the curved part, just the main part. But it's really nice, especially, I mean, I don't want to get too nasty here, too graphic, but those of you that have field dressed a deer, I mean, you know that sometimes you're reaching in and doing some of this by feel. And sometimes I just leave that safety, that the zipper part of the blade out, and I'll reach in and try to cut loose some of the parts kind of by feel. And I'm not poking around, putting a sharp point into any of the meat that way.
You big chicken.
Well, I'm not worried about my fingers as much as I am just ruining meat. I don't want to hack up the tenderloin or something like that just because I'm not as good at what I'm doing as what I need to be. But it's really nice still to go in and remove, slit through some of that connective tissue and get stuff cleaned out there without it's still sharp and it still trims it, and you don't have to worry about nicking stuff you don't want to nick.
I'm thinking that curved blade is going to be a bitch to sharpen. I
think it might be, but
yeah.
But I mean, no more often than what you use that on. I mean, typically it's if you're not cutting hair with it and stuff like that. I mean, once you get your first slit made, then that thing doesn't actually cut through much but hide and then soft connective tissue. Usually, I mean, the way I do it, so it's held a long time.
I would say 3 deer, 2 deer, 3 deer a year, and you'd be fine. It would take forever for that blade to dull.
And I have used traditional gut hooks before, and this beats those all to heck.
Because I can see where that would.
It works faster. It works better. You get more leverage out of it, and not only that, but that gut hook gets dull. Then it is a bear to sharpen.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a lot easier than a gut hook to get the edge back onto.
It's a very cool design. Yeah, and cleaning up would be easy too. You just wash it off and dry it off when you get done, and you're basically set to go.
Well, and that's just it. You have to be a little careful with it, but I push the button to unlock it and then flip it to where both sides stick out, kind of like a T,
mm-hmm.
and you can wash it. You can get all the. I mean, it's designed well so that anything that's inside the handle, you can get it cleaned out really well, and then just let it dry and.
Yeah. Very cool. Now let's go ahead and move on to combat knives. We're not going to run this through the panel, but if you guys were to buy some sort of a combat or defensive knife, what would you guys recommend? What would be your go-to for something like that? We're talking a fixed blade.
K-bar.
Before we go there,
K-bar. Yeah.
I want to throw out one more name for people.
Sure.
And that's Case. Case makes fine quality knives. They're a little bit pricey compared to the buck or the trade, but they are good. And that's basically for your folding style pocket knife.
A lot of collectibles from Case too.
Yeah.
Or I should say, a lot of people collect them. I don't know if they're designed to be collectors, but I know a lot of people collect those. And if you see a Case knife on an auction, it's going to go high.
Hey, Midnight Range TM, Case Knives makes a line of culinary knives. So there you go. You can be rocking the tactical in the kitchen. 7-inch Santoku for $52. That's not bad. 8-inch chef's knife for $47.99. Steak knife set for $342. Might be a little pricey, but you can get the whole block set for $343 on their website, which is pretty cool. Yeah, they do make some really nice knives, man. They got some pretty cool stuff. So when you said Case, I was thinking like the tractor company. I was like, what?
Same logo.
Yeah, it doesn't come out the same, doesn't it?
It's the original Case Tractor logo, so I don't know how they're tied in, but I think it's the same eventually.
I think it started as kind of a giveaway with Case Tractors.
Oh, okay. Here's the shop here. You can spend, I'm looking at their hunting knives right now. They're start around $90. Like, I'd love to get this guy, but this is $394. It's a little crazy, but still very nice looking though.
It's the Winkler. Is that the Fonzie knife?
Probably.
I'll tell you something.
You have to use it with your thumb up.
Hey.
Yeah, there you go. God. Happy
days.
Big
reason that I don't go to Case is because of the price for something that I'm quite likely going to lose.
You sound like me.
Yeah, I mean, you can get some just looking at their collection. I mean, you can do okay. I mean, you don't necessarily have to break them. You can get. I mean, I saw some for around $40, but yeah, they're up there a little bit. You're going to pay 2 to 3 times more than you would for, say, a Schrade. Yeah, or a buck for that matter. They're cool, but you're going to probably be paying for the name a little bit, but also the quality. So it's Tony, are they American made? Do you know?
I do not know. I doubt it.
Okay.
They might be.
For those prices, I would hope, but yeah. All right, so combat knives. We were talking about this defensive knives, combat knives, serious duty knives. What do you guys recommend?
I don't, because I don't have such thing.
I don't. I mean, I've got something here I can show off. But anybody here own a K-bar? I know K-bar is going to be kind of the standard that a lot of people go to. You can get one for $50 or $60 on eBay or on Amazon.
Yeah, I used to have one. They're pretty tough. I've gutted a deer with one. I split a log with one. I mean, you wear them out doing stuff like trying to split a log with one, but yeah, they're pretty tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's well balanced. The blade's about the right size. Hand fits right in there. With the pommel, and it does the job. Now, I think there's some. They're not. I don't want to say issue because they issue the fighting knife or the bayonet. But where you could get a saw back, and that's not mil spec or whatnot. But it's not something. I mean, they used to with the trench knives and bayonets in World War I, they would custom put saw backs on them. So it's not a bad idea. I'm not into blades with sawbacks very often, but some people I know they prefer that, so it's out there.
Very cool. For me, I've got a Glock 81, which is actually issued to Austrian military. These are $30. It's a nice little pig sticker. This thing's sharp as heck on the top too, and the blade is awesome. I bought this one at pawn shop for $18, but they're $30 and they're brand new. It's a spring steel blade. It's not a full tang, but it goes down quite a bit. What's cool about it is you can pop off the little end cap here, and the Steyr AUG or AUG, they've got a bayonet mount on it for their military in Austria, and you can put this on the bottom and it does mount. That's why it's got this curve on it, because the barrel goes right above it. The end of the barrel is like right here, and so if you look it up online, they show how the AUG, this actually doubles as a bayonet for the AUG rifle if you have the bayonet mount on it. Yeah, this little guy right here is just awesome. So they call it just like a field knife, but it is basically their bayonet. So I keep that. But yeah, I don't have like a serious combat knife. I'd like to pick up a K-bar. That's definitely something on the list.
A bayonet will do just fine if you use it properly.
If you got a, I mean, this isn't very realistic, but if you got a Harbor Freight nearby, this will do the job too. Little $8 survival knives. Now, granted, the tang only comes down to here and it's bolted in, but
I do have a Harbor Freight nearby. We just got one.
Oh, serious? Really? Up by Norfolk?
Yeah, you know where Hastings bookstore used to be?
Yes. Harbor Freight one in there?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, this one's got the little survival kit in the back, like what you had when you were in grade school.
Way to go there.
Yeah, well, so speaking of $8 knives and being in grade school, Ponery's out there in the chat saying, come on, bring up the 80s survival knives. Yeah, the Rambo knife. I think they had them at the flea market for what, $9?
Oh, I had one. When I bought one at the fair when I was a kid, I think I took it to school for show and tell in the 5th grade. Because, I took a samurai sword to grade school for show and tell. Nobody said anything. It just stayed in the back of the room until I went home. And took my samurai sword on my bicycle. The 80s were nuts, man. I mean, hey, the best part, nobody got injured. Nobody got hurt.
Flea market samurai or survival knives. That was cool. That was the one that had the simulated leather sheath with the sharpening stone.
Oh, yeah.
In the front of it.
Yeah, the compass in the end. This one's got a compass underneath the cap, which is pretty cool.
The compass under the cap is cool. That's more like Rambo's knife. But those cheap ones just had that big old
the ball compass on the top.
Compass right on the butt. Yeah.
There you go. Check that out. You got that? Which way is north? I don't know.
I would love to have the actual First Blood knife that was built by Jimmy Lyle. Those were designed by Jimmy Lyle. That'd be a cool knife to have.
Hey, I'm sure that I've seen reproduction versions that were sold, that were based off the movie knives. Like you get officially licensed versions.
Yeah, you can get the official licensed Rambo knife. All
for
three.
Me, it was the First Blood Part 2, the one that's got the black coating down the center of the blade. That was my favorite one.
With the screwdrivers on it?
Yeah, that thing was awesome, man. That was cool. So again, combat recommendations, K-Bar, really can't go wrong. Harbor Freight if you're on a budget. Glock, they make and they also make that non-serrated. They make it like a spear point also, and then just a standard blade. You can get these 3 or 4 different styles. They come in black or come in like 5 different colors. Sand, FDE, olive drab. I think this is the olive drab version, the one that I had. It's got the same plastic that they make the handguns out of. It's got a drain hole in the bottom. It's got your molly attachment points. So molly clip on it.
Look.
So yeah, I do like this one. This is a great little knife.
Looky here. If you're going out and you think you're going to get in combat, take a gun.
It's good to have a knife on you too. I mean, if you're going to go walk, you're going to do just like a.
Okay, Tony. So when your M16 jams, and it will jam, you're going to be hooking and jabbing. You're going to be using that butt and the bayonet. And if for some reason or another that's not an option, you want to either use your bayonet as a fighting knife or have a backup fighting knife, or maybe even carry a boot knife. Because you may have to fight your way to somebody else's fallen weapon, your side or the enemy's.
That ain't an issue here because I don't have an M16.
Well, you're talking about combat. I'm just saying, if they issue a bayonet or people carry knives because they don't necessarily give everybody a sidearm. They won't let you bring your own personal weapon. And that M16 does jam. So
now let's transition over to hunting real quick. I'll go ahead and start this one. I got a little $9 Camillus titanium coated Walmart knife, which is pretty cool.
Ooh.
This little guy right here. This is what I would consider my hunting knife. It's got a nice thick blade on it, nice sturdy blade. It's got kind of a rubberized grip, so you can really get a good grip on it regardless of if your hands are dry or if you're whatever. Humidity or cold or whatnot. These little guys are pretty cool. And as for we're talking about deer and stuff. For me, it's just always been a gutting tool. But I definitely need to look into your recommendation there, Sandhills. So for me, it's hunting. What do you guys recommend for hunting knives? What would you consider a hunting knife? I mean, you could use a combat knife for hunting, obviously.
When you come up and hunt deer with me this year, Travis, I'll just let you use the outdoor edge one.
Tool.
Try it for yourself.
Heck yeah, I got the Ruger Ranch style. Then as long as you think I can get something within 300 yards, we're good to go.
I guarantee it. You just got to decide you're coming up.
Oh man, it'd be nice. Might have to happen this fall, dude.
I'm saying.
Hungry for venison.
All
right.
Every time I think about that, and every time I think about field dressing a deer, then I just get hungry for some good old backstrap
sausage, some deer, and some deer. Oh God, yes. Oh yeah.
Okay, back to the knife chat.
All right. So when it comes to the hunting knives, again, a lot of the companies we mentioned before, Kershaw, Camillus, Schrade, Buck, they're also going to have hunting knives, pocket knives. So any of the recommendations that we made to you guys, you can make anything into a hunting knife if you wanted to. You could use a Swiss Army knife for a hunting knife if you wanted to. All you got to do is trim and cut and stuff like that. But yeah, so do you guys have any solid recommendations for hunting knives? Those case knives are very cool, Tony. A little pricey, but they are very sweet. Buck, if you want something inexpensive, it's going to get the job done. Any other recommendations there, guys?
For deer hunting, I'm using hang on, I don't know how long it is.
Using a what, Tony? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
4-inch Rapella fillet knife.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that before. Yeah.
I need to get something like that to add to mine, because the one that I have, it's great for doing the front part. And again, not to get too graphic, but when you're field dressing a deer, you have to clean out the back part under the tail and get that all taken loose from the rest of the body. And a super, super sharp and super thin, I don't mean like thin blade like a fillet knife, it works perfect, but I'm talking about from the spine to the belly. Just a tiny little blade works wonders there, and you don't hack everything all up to get that cleaned out.
That particular procedure is exactly why I had this knife.
I'm going to have to find me a 4-inch fillet knife. That's perfect. I hadn't thought about it. The other one that works really well there is from Schrade, and you can still find them. I think it's called the Sharp Finger, but it's got a goofy little looking blade on it, but it's ergonomic as heck, and it's really good for trimming those hard to dress areas, those sensitive areas to talk about under the tail there.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, I'll bring a picture of it up real quick for you guys. Check it out. Give you some good visual representations of these knives that we're talking about, especially if you're listening. You can go back and watch and see it. Here you go, the old timer.
Yeah.
Sharp finger fixed blade knife.
Basically, you're cutting the junk and the bung out. So.
Yep.
It's pretty cool, man.
And you've got to cut the skin loose without ruining the meat right there, because that's where all the really good meat is.
Mm-hmm. But
you've got to cut the skin loose and take the sphincter and everything back up through the pelvis. And so you've got to have a good knife to get all that done the right way.
Yes.
Without hacking up all your roast and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
very
why
cool.
I figured that super thin, flexible Rapella, whatever the fuck they pronounce it.
Yeah.
Would be perfect, and it is.
I think you're right. I think that's probably the best idea I've ever heard, Tony.
Well, I think
he is. Yeah, I was like, he is the man. He knows it, man. Tony's got all the answers.
I know you're like the Yoda on this chat. You've been around a couple more years and seen a little more than some of us have.
And I like cheap.
I have returned.
Hey, AWAG's back. All right, cool. All right, so let's go and shift over to our next topic. We're going to keep things rolling here. These are, again, everything you're hearing today, these are all viewer requests, again, from the 9,000 sub giveaway.
Before we go there, we need to touch a little bit on stones.
Okay.
Because you need to keep the knives sharp once you get them. And if you're looking at stones, and you're working with your knife to start with, before it gets really super dull, you want a stone that's somewhere around 4,000 to 6,000 grit, not 400 to 1,000, to keep it razor sharp. So,
do you have a recommendation for a go-to sharpening kit, Tony? What would work best?
I just buy a whetstone brand.
Tony, what the audience wants to know is, do you have big stones?
Well,
yeah.
We can't talk about that here.
Big kidney stone. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, your kidney stones, yeah.
So the little one that comes in the scabbard, the little one that comes to the little sharpening stone that comes in the scabbard is only for when you're out in the field trying to survive.
Oh, it's a good thing I was muted when you said that. You guys all would have got blown out the way I was just laughing.
I have one of those too, and it's great for touch-ups.
What I'd really like, when it comes to using a stone, I have zero skill. And I don't know, I'm sure there's videos out there, but I would love to learn the right way to put an edge on a knife, especially using a stone. So that would be something that would be that is an art, I think, and a skill that I know a lot of people can do it, but I know a lot more people that can ruin a good knife by trying it, and that's what I'm afraid of.
Have you noticed with the instructional videos that one guy's got one method, another guy's got another method, and it's about the same style knife or other implement that are sharpening, like an axe or a shovel or something like that? I've been told that if you do it a certain way, you'll dull it, you'll ruin the sharpening stone, blah blah blah. And I've seen people sharpen that way, and I don't know. I don't know if it's an opinion thing or it's just some people put out videos and they really don't know what they're doing. But
well, that's kind of the thing, though. It's just like anything else. You know, you can watch videos on any technique, even with firearms, and every one of them. Well, not every one of them, but a lot of these guys are saying, "Well, do it my way. It's the only way that's worth doing."
Right. And I'm sure I've voiced my opinion before that I don't like that sort of training. When you say my way is the only way, my thing is I don't want to decrease the life of the stone, and I don't want to take extra material off of whatever I'm sharpening and not get it sharp anyhow. So
basically, the stone manufacturer's directions are to push the blade, cut side forward. So the sharp side goes, you push it towards the sharp side, like you're trying to cut into the stone, but you have an angle where it's not. That way the blade does not develop the little burr. So you don't have to strop it. Once you find the angle, and that's the trick, it's probably, most knives are 20, I think.
Now, Tony, what you're talking about, now you're talking about, sharpening using a stone. Patriot in the Dark had a question, the difference between using a steeling and a sharpening or a stone. So you're talking about the procedure for sharpening with the stones. We're getting that part covered. Go ahead, Tony.
Steeling, I don't think does as fine a job as a fine stone. Although those kitchen steels that are like a post stick or whatever the hell you want to call it, of steel, they are fine work. But
I've got experience.
So is that your follow-up then? You start with the stone and then you go with the steel rod?
On sharpeners, if you buy them, the steel is coarse.
Like when you look at a traditional, there's different types of steels too. I mean, there are some that have like little lines that are, a steel is just like a long spear, right? It's like a little long spear point with a handle on the end, and you go at a certain angle and you just run down the steel. And what that does is that puts the edge back. I know I use mine in my kitchen with my kitchen knives. The one that came with my block.
That's for like honing, basically, as steel, isn't it?
Well, here's the deal, though. You can get yourself a fiberglass steel. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those. And the fiberglass steel will take the nicks out of the blade. So it won't grind like a sharpening stone, but it will put a nice edge back on it. Now, I've also got the little handheld sharpener that's got little pieces of fiberglass in it that you run the blade through a couple of times, and that'll put an edge back on your knife in no time. Now, it's not going to repair. It's not good for a real thick, heavy blade, and it's not going to take out any nicks that might be in the blade, but that'll work.
Is that fiberglass or is it ceramic?
The one, okay, that would, well, they call it fiberglass, but it is ceramic. I've got two different steels upstairs. I've got a ceramic, and then I also have a steel, like aluminum steel or stainless steel that I use to sharpen. So,
does anybody else on the panel have experience using the Rada cutlery sharpener, the Rada knives? You guys ever seen those? RADA?
No.
The sharpener it's a goofy looking little thing. It doesn't look like it's going to do any good. It's basically just a little black plastic, like sticks up. It's on a little base, and instead of the little rods or whatever that crisscross, it's just got two steel discs that are riveted in place, but they're loose. And then you just draw your blade between those two steel discs.
Oh, shit. I've seen something like that years and years ago on the backside of a can opener.
Yeah, that's exactly what it kind of looks like. They're about the size of a nickel. And it's not going to be something that's going to put, like a factory edge back on your knife. But I keep one of those, and it's like $8 to get it from Rada Cutlery. It's like Watkins, if people deal, like you can find somebody who just sells Rada knives out of their house. But the sharpener is only about $8, and that will actually work to put a real quick edge back on whatever knife you're working on. And I use that like if I'm gonna chop up vegetables for the bearded dragons here at the house. I'm gonna cut through some squash. I'll just run it through that a dozen times or so, and then the edge is back on it. It doesn't hold long, because it's not. It's only doing just a quick edge, but I mean, it works really well, and it's kind of idiot proof, which is why it works for me. I don't have to worry about angles. I don't have to worry about cutting myself if I miss the steel.
There is the option of taking your knives and tools and lawnmower blade and everything to a service and paying them. I mean, granted, that's not the cheapest option, but if you're concerned about ruining it, or every time you try you just make it worse, not that it's ever happened to me, but you can always pay somebody. I know if you go to Smoky Mountain Knife Works in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, if you're down in the Knoxville area, Gatlinburg area, doing the whole tourism thing, you definitely want to stop in there. It's 3 stories of knives, tools, guns, and pretty much anything you can think of. Downstairs, they've got a sharpening service. So if you bring a couple knives with you, you could go down there, drop them off, they'll sharpen them while you shop the store, and it's a big store. And I definitely recommend it. I mean, it's not that far off the freeway. You do have to drive into town like you were going into Pigeon Forge to go fight it's on the good side of the traffic. Once you get a couple blocks past it, that's where the traffic gets really thick. But I definitely recommend that if you're down in that area, stop in.
Very cool. Very cool.
Also, there's a Bud's gun shop right behind it.
Ooh. That might be kind of fun just to walk around and stuff. So, all right. Hey, Midnight Range is with us. Midnight Range, man. Now, what's your EDC?
What's for brunch?
What's for lunch?
Can I get some hash browns with onions in them?
Sure. You better start driving, man. Gas up the truck. Get down here.
Heck yeah, dude.
No, you guys are talking about steels and stuff. So I figured I'd hop in here quick.
Yeah.
There's steels versus stones. There's wet stones. There's oil stones. And then when you start looking at steels, you were talking about the steels with the lines in them, basically the grooves. The bigger the grooves, the more coarse they are. You'll get down to the point where they get finer and finer. And you'll, years ago, they started coming out with diamond steels too, that they're actually coated with a diamond powder. And again, some of them are really coarse, some of them are really fine. And you can just feel them with your finger and you can just, tell that. And then when you get down into some of the steels are literally almost smooth. Mm-hmm. And they're just like finishing steels where all you're doing is basically straightening out the point of that blade. When you sharpen a blade, it's going to sharpen and usually curve over or fall over from one side to the other. If you sharpen a knife, it could be really, really sharp. And if you draw your finger across it, not obviously with the blade, you cut your finger, you'll feel it feels rougher going one way than the other. That's the way that the blade tip is leaning. If you can straighten that blade tip out, that's as sharp as it's going to get. For the most part. I mean, it's going to feel sharper. It's going to cut better. Some of the things to really be careful of is they sell draw sharpeners where they actually almost like you grip them and you draw them down the blade. They usually take a truckload of material off your knife. They're really
very aggressive.
They're more for somebody. You buy a knife at a yard sale or somebody gives you a knife or something and it's not very sharp. You could run one of those across it 3 or 4 or 5 times and then take it to a stone or a steel. Okay. Get a good edge on it and keep it on with a steel. Learn to use a steel and you'll never have to take it to get sharpened. Another thing is one of the other biggest things that I see people do, especially home cooks, is they buy these really cool cutting boards that are like glass or marble or something like that. And I'm like, holy Christ, what are you doing to your knife?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, they buy these like mosaic cutting boards or cutting boards with the people literally will do like marble slabs that match their countertop or something like that. And they're like, this is great. It just washes off so easy. Wow. Like, yeah, but your knife is now damn near serrated when you're done cutting with it.
Yeah, I've got the thick white plastic cutting boards that actually my dad buys from work when they're done with them. We resand them down and reuse them. Or bamboo. I like the bamboo cutting boards because they're something quick and easy that's not going to mess up your blade.
Yeah, I'll stick with bamboo.
You can always research.
7 out of 8 panelists choose bamboo for a cutting board material.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heck yeah, man.
But I don't know. I mean, other than that, I don't know if there's. I mean, I'm here, so if you guys have any questions, let me know before I gotta bolt out.
Cool, good stuff. What is your EDC? What's your preference for an EDC pocket knife?
Oh my God, I go cheap, super cheap, and I actually don't have it on me right now. I left some stuff in my truck when I was kind of running late today, but yeah, I buy like $8, $9 gun show lockbacks, man.
There you go.
I tend to lose them, or I just beat them up because I use them so much at work.
Yeah.
And my wife tends to borrow them, and they get lost in her purse forever. They end up in like Narnia, I think. I don't know, but
the seat cushion of the car, the couch, under the coffee table.
She had like 3 knives in her purse one time. I was like, where's my knife? And she was digging through. She's like, this one? I'm like, no.
This one.
No.
So the couch, the purse, and the wardrobe?
Yeah. They eat them up pretty good. But yeah, and I'm not somebody, Jim in the chat said, he's like, oh, I bet I spend a lot of money on knives for work, and I don't. I use the knives. The knives that you see in the videos are knives that we get from a knife service. They're super cheap, and it's just, I mean, it's just like guns, right? You could buy a $5,000 rifle, but it doesn't mean you're going to shoot, quarter MOA every time you pull the trigger, right?
Yeah.
So you can buy some inexpensive knives, but you got to learn how to use them.
I guess all that means is you probably sharpen them a little more often, but that's fine.
Right. Yeah, the steel tends to be, they're stamped blade, cheap, but yeah, they will dull a little bit quicker, but we're also, we're steeling them in between and, keeping an eye on them and stuff like that. A harder blade will, a blade with more iron in it's going to stay sharper longer.
Oh, yeah.
But, it comes at a cost. And, when you're dealing with people that are inexperienced and stuff, I don't want to be handing them my $200 shun, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
The most expensive kitchen knife I have at home I got it from Kohl's, and it was like $35.
Yeah.
And I love it, actually.
I'll tell you what, I've used, the last couple competitions I've been in, I've actually used a scallop blade or a Granton. It's called a Granton edge. It's the hollow grind. You know what I mean? It's got the little grounds in it. Santoku blade that I got free with a set of pots and pans.
Yay! There you go.
How the hell do you sharpen those?
It's not a serrated edge. It's a scalloped edge. It's a Granton edge. So it's like
that's the kind the vegetable slices don't stick to.
Exactly. Yeah, it gives some air gaps so that like when you cut through like a potato or something, it doesn't stick to the blade.
Yeah, the scallops are above the actual cutting edge itself.
Yeah, and they start. Now I've had a couple of knives that I've sharpened enough to get down to those, but yeah, I mean, I've showed up and won competitions with free knives. So I mean, yeah, it's kind of funny.
Works good.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, my favorite chef's knife right now is a Shun Ito, Santoku style. That's a gorgeous knife. I've heard that they're going to stop making them actually, and it makes me want to buy one just to have it because they're really nice. I don't know if you can pull one up.
Yeah, I'll bring up a picture real quick. Yeah, Shun Ito 7.5 inch Santoku. There we go. Yeah. Which really, if you look around, you can find some pretty good prices on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they go on sale every once in a while. But, all right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're looking at about the same price as like a higher end, like a Henkel. If you're going to go that route, one of their higher end ones. But that's a beautiful knife. Kitchen, that'll do the job.
It's the most ergonomic knife I've ever used. The way that I hold a knife, those cutouts there towards the bottom, towards the hilt, they just fit my finger really good. I ride up on the knife to get a little bit more pressure, a little more force. and it's just super comfortable. So if you're looking for a cool knife, that's a good recommendation.
So we got combat, hunting, EDC, and now kitchen knives covered. So you guys are good to go.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome.
Actually, rock humper that I recommended. It's Dexter Russell series, and she really liked it. They're a little less expensive, but really nice set.
Cool. All right. Real quick, Boobswood had a question. Are the ceramic knives any good? Can you comment on those real quick, Midnight Range? Ceramic kitchen blades? Yeah.
Yeah, I've used ceramic knives. I mean, I remember when they came out, it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it was kind of the rage. Everybody wanted a ceramic blade. Yeah.
One of the things that I don't know now is how well you can sharpen them yourself. Because I haven't really kept up with the product, you know. When they first came out, you couldn't sharpen them yourself. You would use them, and then usually the companies would take them back and sharpen them for free and send them back to you. I don't know if that's how it is now, but yeah, I've used them. They tend to be very, very light, obviously. So it depends on what you're doing with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole idea of having a chef's knife with a thicker blade, longer blade. Every knife has a job, right? You're not going to take a paring knife and break down a ribeye with it. So a ceramic knife has its place, just like a scimitar does, just like a chef's knife, just like a paring knife, just like a tournet knife. So if you have one, you'll find yourself probably using it for one thing and loving it, and then try and do something else with it, and you're like, well, this thing's a piece of garbage because it just doesn't fit the task. So for me, you know, a chef's knife, a serrated knife, and you know, like a small utility blade or something, you're good to go.
Good stuff. I need to get my old man into technology, get my dad on this show, and just have a discussion about knife sharpening, because my dad works in a beef packing plant. He's been there for 40 years. And he and two other guys, they do all the sharpening for all the knives, like the saws. And when somebody's blades to a point that the steel doesn't work anymore, they take it to my dad. He puts a grind back on it. That's all he does all day. He just sharpens all the knife blades in the plant. It's a pretty big packing plant too.
He'd be the guy to go. He'd be the guy to talk to for sure.
Oh, I do. If I got something that needs an edge, I give it to my old man. A week later, I get it back. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's nice having a parent that does knife sharpening for free. You can pretty much turn over whatever you need to. So, yeah, he puts a hell of an edge on a knife, dude.
I've got one more quick knife question. For those of you who have a knife with a reversible clip, you can take the clip off and move it to other sides or whatever. Where do you find Torx bits that will hold up and get those tight without stripping the bit out? Because I don't think I've stripped out my screws, but I've stripped out a couple screwdrivers trying to put those screws back in, and now I've got a bunch of knives with loose clips.
My Kershaw just has standard Phillips head on it. Just uses standard Phillips, and that's it.
I go to Home Depot, get the Husky branded stuff.
Okay.
That way, if the thing strips, they just replace it. You take it back, and they give you a new one.
Because that's what's tough. I mean, like the clips that I have, I've got a Kershaw. I think it's called the Brawler, and I love the knife. But now I can't carry it because I moved it once from tip down to tip up carry, and now I can't get the screws tight, and so the clip's just loose.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm going to put you something in the side chat here.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and shift over to the next topic. I want to get to this one. Again, another viewer-requested topic. Let's talk about inexpensive or budget-friendly modifications that you can make to your handguns. All right, so the first thing that comes to mind is the 25-cent Glock trigger job. Now, I do very little modifications to my handguns at all internally. I'll replace parts, but I don't necessarily do any kind of gunsmithing. But throw it out there, guys. Is there anything you've ever done before, or anything you've ever been interested in doing to your handgun to make it fire better? Say the trigger, or smoothing it down, or sanding it down, or something. Works for you guys. Obviously, we have some home stippling jobs, right? People do that.
Right.
Get a little bit of texture on it.
You can mess your gun up by stippling too.
Yes. So, well, you can measure. First of all, okay, let's just get this out. None of us here on the panel, I mean, AWAG's probably the closest thing we have to a gunsmith, but none of us are career gunsmiths. So everything we're about to talk about, we are not liable if you decide to go ahead and do what we tell you we know or what we've read about.
I'm an amateur gunsmith, and unfortunately, it shows.
Yeah.
But
Did your thumb heal?
It's not my thumb; it was my palm. And
your palm.
It's okay, I've got three killer scars on my thumb, on my palm. But
you can tell the ladies are combat scars, man.
Right.
Let's fight a war against my 1911 one night.
I do have an accredited certification in gunsmithing, and I'll tell you what, the easiest one that you can do on most firearms to get better performance is real easy. Just get some polishing compound and just polish the feed ramps on your gun.
There you go. Okay, so that's an easy one to get. That's a really good idea.
That'll cost you probably, duration of the bottle, probably 10, 15 cents. It's a 10 and 15 cent job just to make your handgun or hell any firearm more reliable.
I'll say if you get yourself an AR upper, get yourself a budget AR upper that does not have polished feed ramps. That's one way to get into it.
But remember, polish it just enough to where it'll run reliably, but don't polish too much, because if you polish too much, you'll take too much material off and it won't function properly. So be very careful when you do it. It's not hard, but once you get it locked down, you don't need to do anything else to it. Just keep oiling it, keep greasing what you have to, depending on whether you grease or you oil your firearm, and then just enjoy it. I'd also recommend probably every so often replacing your springs.
Yeah, that's another one. You can get yourself some higher quality springs than factory too if you decide to go that route. We've got suggestions coming in on the YouTube side. Grip tape, cheap and awesome. Talon grips, night sights, and replacement grips.
If you're on the super cheap side, electrical tape, oddly enough, is very grippy.
And it gets sticky too as it starts to. If that's what you want, if you got duct tape. Duct tape. Has anybody ever duct taped their pistol grip on their firearm before? Duct tape could work for you. I don't know.
I used electrical tape on my AK magazines because it gives a little bit extra grip to it.
Okay. That's not a bad idea, especially if you're running maybe some steel ones. Don't have any kind of texture on them at all.
All right, here's a goofy one too. I have an AMD 63.
Hey, Midnight Ranger. Breaking up, dude.
All right, how's that? Better?
Better. All right.
Better. Any better? Okay. So I have an AMD 65. The butt pad is like that hard, rubbery, plasticky kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which kind of slips around a little bit. I don't really like it. So I went and I picked up some black hockey tape and used that. So now it's kind of nice and grippy and a little bit softer.
It's going to stay in place when you're actually using it instead of sliding all over the place. Yeah.
Is that one of those patent pending trash tactical modifications?
No, that's white trash tactical right there, baby.
There you go. That's the Trash Panda line, right? Is that what that is for the AMDs?
Yeah.
Hey, man, I got an AMD 63, so I got love for it. But let's see here.
I still say Talon grips are the way to go.
So, internally, like we said, springs would be a safe bet. But again, you might want to watch how light of a trigger. Like Jim, you did the Apex trigger kit on your SD940, your SD40.
Yep.
And you said you were dealing with some light primer strikes. You had to go back and put the original striker spring back in. Is that what you did?
Yeah, the trigger and the trigger springs themselves I kept, but the striker spring came with the kit, and I just had to go back. And your mileage may vary there, but that's what I had to do.
And that isn't exactly budget, because we're looking at about a $70 investment if you want the whole trigger upgrade for the SD series, right?
Right.
Okay. I had the exact same issue with my SW. I had to go back to stock striker spring.
So, guys, if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, your Smith & Wesson SW series, SD9 series, Apex makes these trigger kits to improve the trigger. Because the trigger on the SD9 and the SWs, it takes a little getting used to. You can get used to it, and it's not bad, but you want something a little more defined. If you want something a little bit thicker trigger with that blade style, a lot of people go with those Apex kits, but unfortunately that lighter spring can cause light primer strikes, which means you're going to have a gun that's not going to go bang. Has Apex addressed that? Have they changed out the spring recently? Because people, you think Tony had a problem, you had a problem. You think people will be complaining to the factory about it?
I don't know, and I think the reason your mileage may vary is it probably also depends on the ammo. Because I bet if you're using good self-defense ammo, you're probably not going to have that issue. If you're using bulk practice ammo that's got a little bit of harder primers, is probably where your issue is going to come in.
Do you remember what you were shooting at the time when you had problems? Were you Winchester white box or Federal, or were you shooting Dula or what?
LAX ammo reloads.
Okay.
And it was about 1 out of 20, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it would make me really leery about leaving that spring in there, because at one time you want it to work and it doesn't. So you've been firing that gun a lot. You got a lot of miles on that gun, and then you draw it and use it, and it doesn't go bang.
So the trigger with the stock spring, the stock striker spring, is still noticeably feels better as far as trigger pull and reset. It just doesn't lighten it up quite as much as having the striker spring replaced.
Yeah.
Travis?
Yo.
When I mention replace springs, I don't mean just, trigger springs or, firing pin springs. I mean just literally any spring that's in your firearm. And I don't mean going and getting, whatever you see off the shelf. I mean, go to one of the firearm gun spring manufacturers like
Wolf, yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend Wolf and use some of those. Now, of course, yes, you got to be careful that you don't get light primer strikes because you replace the spring.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if you're going to do any modification to your firearm, you need to, pay attention to these kind of things.
Oh yeah.
So be careful. Whatever you do to your gun, be careful.
Yeah, Scott P79 says the Apex trigger does help. I've never been a fan of those hinge triggers like the M&P. And then there's a question. Okay, Andrew Peterman says, does that Apex trigger really help that much? I thought about putting that on my M&P 2.0 9mm full size. If you want a different style trigger, it's going to give that to you. I mean, is it really worth doing, Jim? Is it really worth putting on an SD9VE?
It was worth it on the SD. I've never done it in terms of an M&P.
It's going to have a similar trigger design. The M&P's won't that have a similar little hinge trigger, that little hinge towards the
It is a hinged trigger, and I didn't really replace it because it was the hinged trigger. That didn't bother me so much.
Yeah.
As much as just the overall feel of the SD trigger was kind of gritty and cheap.
Yeah, you don't get it tenses up when you practice with it enough. You know when it's going to go, but you don't get that wall that you get with the Glock. You don't get that wall and then the break. You get a little bit of a wall, but you get used to it after a while. But a lot of people don't like it because they feel like it's unpredictable, maybe.
Yeah,
but again, gritty, kind of squishy.
Yeah, people say better things about the stock M&P triggers anyway.
Yes.
So
Yes.
But I've heard people say good things about Apex trigger replacements on M&Ps too, especially the original.
Yeah, and Sean Ponnery's saying supposedly in the 2.0 they had addressed the crap tactical trigger fill of craptacular trigger fill of the original M&Ps. Yeah, I've heard the same thing when I watched a lot of the range tests in the M&P 2.0. That was a big point, as that guy says, oh yeah, the trigger feels that so much better, it's so much more crisp, and so on. So in terms of inexpensive accessories, I'm not a proponent of cheap flashlights to put on your gun. I think if you're going to keep a light on your gun, you get yourself something like a Streamlight, or I got a TLR1 that I just absolutely love. I've had crappy $20 eBay pistol flashlights not make it 50 rounds, break, fall apart, just quit working. So I'm not a big fan of cheap tactical lights. Get some, but then again, we talked about flashlights before. Watch the lumens, because you don't want to have something that if you use in your home and you've got white walls all the way around that you don't blind yourself if you actually have to draw and use it, because it's like having a camera flash go off. They're so bright. You get reflections off the walls and so on. So get yourself a duty grade flashlight. Just put the money back, save up, get a good one. They run about $100, anywhere between 80 and 130 will get you into a nice, just standard, Streamlight or whatever. Like I said, I got the TLR1 HL and I love it, but I think it is a little bit too bright for the home. Okay. Just like the room that I'm in, but I do keep it on there anyway. So kind of eat my own words there.
Now, what I do is, granted, I'm one of these people that has a home defense rifle, that I put a Streamlight Pro Tac on it, and that is 1,000 lumens. I had one night I woke up and I had taken the flashlight off of the rifle, and I went to go turn it on, and you can program this, but I had it to go on max brightness with the first click, and then a disorientation strobe as the second click. And I clicked it once, and I immediately had to like close my eyes, because as soon as you wake up, your pupils are like massive. So it let all that light in at once, and it wasn't very pleasant. So I reprogrammed it so it would be a one click is 210 lumens, and then when you double tap it, it'll go to the 1,000 lumen disorientation strobe.
Yeah, another recommendation, Gun Snob. Check out the iProtec RM230. They work great. 400 plus rounds, still works fine. $40 at Academy. So yeah, that's good to know. There's some reliable, just I don't want to say lower end, but just other brands that are out there where you don't have to spend $100. Definitely do some research. Definitely read into it. If you read and there's like a lot of 1 or 2 star reviews on a flashlight, and they say, hey, this thing didn't last 50 or 100 rounds, and there's a bunch of 5-star reviews, I'd still be leery about their quality control and something like that. You need something that's going to be consistent, that's going to get the job done. So, okay, and then also, how do you guys feel about revolvers? Getting into revolvers for any kind of self gunsmithing, is that a no-no? Would you say stay away? Just as a kind of a warning for the viewers, what do you guys think?
Stay away from that a little bit.
Tony, what do you think? You're the revolver pro here. What's your take on doing your own gunsmithing on revolvers?
I don't touch mine.
No, yeah.
If you're going to do anything to a revolver, here's what I recommend. Replace the grips. That's it. Don't try and mess with the timing or anything, because one wrong move in the timing, and you'll have less of a hand if you're lucky.
You know, if anything, if you care that much about it, if it bothers you the way your current revolver feels, go get yourself a nice performance center. Get yourself a nice upgraded revolver, something that's already had that proper smithing done on it, that's got a warranty with it, that's going to run.
Or if you want that revolver you have to work properly, take it to a licensed gunsmith and have them do any of the work you want on it. Don't do it yourselves on a revolver, because revolvers are a little trickier, and again, you don't want that one wrong move where you screwed up the timing and it blows up in your face.
I'm just taking mine to the Yankee Marshal.
There you go.
I don't recommend taking it to Yankee at all.
Uh-oh. Gonna have another
Well, he's not a licensed gunsmith.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is true.
I mean, no matter how many revolvers he has, one, he's not a licensed gunsmith, and two, while he does know his revolvers, he doesn't do that all the time. So he's not gonna be able to do anything.
To be honest with you, I have never had a revolver that had what I would consider to be a bad trigger.
Oh yeah. Maybe somebody is attempting to lighten up the double action trigger pull by replacing some parts on inside of it, possibly. I don't know.
But I keep the thing clean and lubricated. That's about as far as I go.
Yeah.
Just soak it in 10W30 overnight. It'll be fine.
There you go.
Leave it loaded and soak it.
There you go. Just practice with it more and get better with it, and you're good to go.
I've always thought that smooth was more important than light on a DA trigger pull.
I agree.
Yeah. A good DA will pull at about 1.5 or 2 pounds. And you can go up to 3 pounds, and it's still pretty tolerable.
On a double action?
Yes. It gets above 3 pounds, and I probably wouldn't buy the gun.
I thought double action trigger pulls were up there closer to
like 10,
8 to 10 pounds.
Oh, single. Yeah. Single versus double.
Okay, yeah. Well, I agree with you, Tony, then, yeah.
Interestingly enough, I've never live fired it, but the best double action revolver trigger pull I've ever felt was on a Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum. So I really want to, I really want to do it with full house ammo in there. But
yeah, I love the Smith & Wessons. Any ones I've ever tested or test fired or played around with just have such nice triggers on them. I mean, I'm sure they've had their lemons, but anything I've ever fired has always been real high quality, especially the older ones. A lot of your older models that they have. Yeah. Nothing against the new ones, but Rugers,
Rugers always feel smooth too.
Yeah. GP100 is one of my favorites, man. Anyway, calm down.
Calm down, kid. Calm down.
All right, so I want to shift over to our last topic. Hopefully, we gave enough information to the viewer that requested that, your budget mods and accessories for your handguns. All right, so the last topic that we have here, and I was looking forward to this. I was doing my homework last night. 45 ACP versus 45 Colt versus 45 Gap. Which one would you choose and why? We're going to run it through the panel. Tony, I'm going to start with you. You have to choose one of the three. Which one would you choose for a handgun?
First off, it depends on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And for my purposes, 45 Colt all the way, because you can use it for plinking around, or if you have Ruger guns, you can turn it into Super Magnum.
Okay.
And the other two don't even come close in case capacity.
Oh yeah, this is true.
And that's it in a nutshell for me.
Okay.
But I don't carry those.
Okay. And again, this is viewer request. They just want to know what are our thoughts on the 45, 45 Colt versus 45 ACP and 45 Gap. So we'll talk about 45 Gap here in just a little bit. Okay. You're laughing. You're going to be shocked when you hear my choice. Squib, what about you?
45 AARP.
Why?
So, everybody knows 1911, right? I mean, I know that they can be chambered in other calibers, but it's a semi-auto round. There are, some people want that. I kind of would like to get a 10 millimeter 1911. Eventually, I'll get off my butt and do it. But there are revolvers that are chambered in 45 ACP. I've never heard of a semi-auto chambered in 45 long Colt. 45 Gap, that's kind of one of those niche rounds. It's almost, 357 SIGs may be a little bit more popular. It's one of those, if you get a firearm chambered in this, good luck finding ammo, and then when you see what it costs, hey, but that doesn't mean, if that's what you want to use, then that's what you want to use. But with the 45 ACP, you've got the option of a semi-auto, you've got the option of a revolver. There's some, I don't want to call them sub-guns, I'll say carbine-style firearms in 45 ACP. It's easy to reload. It's available everywhere. I've gone to places where I've seen 45 ACP and not seen 45 long Colt. Now, 45 long Colt is a good round, and it's got some pluses and minuses there. Like if you've got a 454 Casull or a 460, you can load 45 long Colts in there and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
And eventually, I would like to get a revolver in 45 long Colt, and that would be really nice to have. But just the versatility, the availability, if you even want to call it affordability to some extent of the 45 ACP.
This is a relatively inexpensive Herders brass from Cabela's. This is made in, I want to say Czech Republic, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? Made by Cellular and Below. Yeah, made in the Czech Republic. I used this when I did my wife's Rossi circuit judge range test. This was one of the 3 different kinds of ammo that I fired through it. So that's your 45 Colt. Now, Tony, they call it 45 long Colt on the box, so I do apologize for offending you this morning when I referred to it as long Colt.
Foreigners.
There we go. Yeah, so that's your 45 Colt. Again, it's one of the lesser expensive, brands that you can get for Colt ammo. I've got another one in the cabinet right now, but I can't remember. So I'm going to be taking this out for the test with the Ruger Super Red Hawk Alaskan. I'm going to do a 45 Colt test first. Then after that, I'll do a 454 Casull. Sandhill says that he's going to go jump ship and watch the NFOA chat. Yeah, Sandhills, I will get over there. I think I'll make a quick video about that and post a link for it so people can go back and watch it. Again, if you're joining us now, we were talking about the Nebraska Firearms Owners Association is going to do a live town hall over on YouTube. And they're going to talk about Nebraska gun legislation, what's been passed, what's coming up, what the NFOA has been doing, and get a chance to take questions and answers from viewers, which is really cool. So, Sandhills, thanks for joining us. I will get that. You want to make something for your channel? I'll make one for my channel. We'll just post a little link for people to go check that video out. That'd be cool. See, Sandhills, real quick, can you tell us what would you prefer? 45 ACP, 45 Colt, or 45 Gap? Can you catch us real quick before you go?
I'm going to say automatic Colt pistol just because it's the only one I've ever shot. And even though I don't have one, I don't carry one, I will recognize the value in the fact that sometimes slow and fat gets the job done.
Just like us.
I'm asking for a friend.
Long live the dad bod, huh? Yeah, okay.
Not
Hey, man, we get the job done.
Thanks for the invite this morning. Everybody can go catch me on all the usual places under Sandhill Shooter. I am out. Thanks, everybody. Later.
Hey, man, take care, buddy. Take care. Thanks for joining us this morning. Oh, geez. All right, so we'll move on down the line. Let's get your choice preference. And Night Strike. I can only imagine what you're going to say. 45 Colt, right?
45 Colt is a great round if you want a revolver.
Okay.
You know, but I mean, if you want a semi-automatic, yeah, there's 45 Gap.
Oh, you laugh. You just wait, son. You just wait. I was doing some number crunching last night.
Oh, I know.
I've been busting out my wife's notepad, so I had more room to write stuff down. Look at this. It's going to get ugly. In the words of Clover, the gloves are off. Yeah, it's going to be a surprise. Yeah, what's up?
Let me ask you this, Travis.
Yeah, man.
If you could get 1,900 FPS out of a 45 ACP, would you use it?
How much energy are we talking? I know velocity is important, but how much energy are we talking? How many pound-feet of energy?
That's got to be 35,000 at least.
The FPE.
Oh, that's
true. Not PSI, but the pound-feet of energy of
pound-feet energy, kinetic energy. Yeah, about 600.
Where are you going to get a 19? You said 1,800 feet per second.
1,900 FPS.
That would. Everything I'm finding is 900 feet per second.
Okay, the thing is, I have a 1911, and I've used this in it. It's what I got in it when I carry it. But and I don't like carrying the 1911. It's too fucking heavy. But excuse my language, of course. But
we'll give you a pass on this one.
But yeah, Liberty Civil Defense. Now you're gonna cringe when I tell you the grain, but it's a 78 grain bullet.
No, okay, well, that's how you can push.
That's how you can push it.
All right.
But you're getting 1,900 FPS out of a 45 ACP. It's ridiculous, but it works.
That's why I choose 44 Magnum, because I can get that out of a 200 grain bullet.
Right.
Yeah, you can get that out of 44 Special.
Well, there's always going to be another caliber that's going to reproduce those velocity and those energy statistics or whatever specifications.
Huge ass balls, you can get it out of 45 Colt too.
But still, you're able to get 1,900 FPS out of a 45. I don't care about the grains as long as it hits the target and it incapacitates the target, whether it kills or whatnot. It doesn't matter as long as it hits the target. That's all I care about.
So if you
that's your biggest obstacle is getting it to hit the target.
I was going to say that's where Night Strike is definitely range challenged is with.
Oh come on, guys! My accuracy isn't that bad.
Hey, you posted the Swiss cheese picture on Instagram. You deal with the fallout.
Look, I think
it wasn't my firearm, and damn it, I was on painkillers. Give me a break.
You operated a firearm while under painkillers? No, I'm just giving you a hard time. Oh God! All right. No, it's fine, dude. You did fine. You passed your test. You got your concealed carry permit. That's what's most important. So I understand.
I did it while injured. I didn't use my own firearm. I used a rental, and I was able to pass. How many people can say that they went to the ER the previous night, got no fucking sleep, and passed the course? Okay.
Would you like to see a picture of me shooting an M60 with a broken nose?
You don't need your nose to shoot an M60.
You don't need your nose to shoot.
No, but I got to tell you, having petroleum gas stuffed up your nose in sub-zero temperatures while you're shooting an M60 is not comfortable, but it's entirely possible.
Squib always has to ruin it. He always has to ruin it.
Where? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm still trying to find some pound feet energy specifications.
It's
625.
What is it?
It's 625.
Okay.
According
I'm
to
gonna give
Liberty
you
Civil
right.
Defense on Midway.
All right. That's gonna up the ante on the on what I was gonna talk about with the 45 gap, but I still want to make an argument, when I get there. So, all right. So Jim, moving on to you. What are you gonna go for? 45 Colt, 45 ACP, or 45 gap?
I'd go 45 ACP because I'm not much of a revolver guy.
Okay.
And if I was a revolver guy, I'd want to go 44 Magnum anyway, just overall between the two. I think 44 Magnums. Say what?
I can't argue that logic.
Yeah. But and 45 gap, it's probably pretty cool, and I think overall is a little more powerful than 45 AARP. But I bet it's nichey, and I bet it's expensive as all hell.
It's not.
Really?
I was looking up ammo last night. There's about a dozen. Remington, Federal, Spear. Hornady surprisingly does not make a 45 gap ammo that I was able to find on their ballistics charts last night. I just did a search on it on Target Sports USA. There's about 10 different companies that make 45 gap ammo, which surprised me in multiple grain weights.
I bet there ain't that many that make 45 guns. 45
No,
guns.
no, your options now are the Glock 37, 38, and 39, and that's basically it. We had mentioned like Bond Arms made one back in the day. There was a XD that was chambered in 45 gap a long time ago. Well, I don't know, a long time ago, like the last 10 years.
Travis,
but again,
Travis, are you about to have one of those I reject your reality and substitute it with my own moments here?
I don't know, maybe. But no, you got. I mean, yeah. The thing. Okay, can you go buy 45 gap at Walmart? No. You're better off ordering it online. It's about 40 cents a round, depending on what grain weight you're going to go with, depending on what type. Cabela's has 3 or 4 different brands of it in stock. You go online, you can order up to about a dozen different brands. So, like I said, even Remington and Federal and the big boys make it too. So it's still in production. It's not. In fact, there are some law enforcement agencies that issue 37s as their sidearm currently, which is kind of surprising. So it surprised me because 45 gap came up in one of Matt's chats a long time ago where we were talking about like top 5 Wildcat rounds or like top 5 calibers to never choose. And 45 gap came up and everybody laughed. Nice, Rick, you were laughing when I mentioned it.
That's because gap is hilarious in itself. They tried to make the 45 ACP cartridge shorter and using the same 45 bullet. Just just because you have less doesn't mean it's going to be better.
Well, we'll get there. So Jim, you said 45 ACP. AWAG, yeah. What about you?
Oh, geez. If it was in a handgun, I'd prefer not to use it. I just don't like 45 ACP in a handgun. I've never shot a 45 long hole.
Don't worry.
Definitely never.
Don't worry. One day you'll grow up and you'll learn to appreciate it.
Okay. The only way I appreciate 45 ACP is in a submachine gun, and that is it.
Anyway, you always have to be complicated and difficult, man. Yes. As a child, I'm sure you were very picky as an eater too, weren't you? My food can't touch. Were you that kid?
My food can't touch the sides of the plate. They can't touch each other either. They have to be in their own little portion.
I didn't even let my plate touch the table, man.
I knew it. All right, we finally cracked the code. All right, so I understand. Have you ever had any interest at all in 45 gap? Have you ever done any research on it?
Did a little bit of research on it when I was looking at 357 SIG and 40, and then something popped up on Wikipedia. It's like 45 gap. I'm like, ooh, what's this?
So the gun snob says, let's just go with 10 millimeter, and I'll agree. I don't know, gun snob. Wait till you find out what I got to tell you here. Wait till you find out what I tell you about 20 millimeter anti-aircraft. Well, of course. I mean, that's pretty hard to beat. I'm sure Kim Jong-un's a big fan of it from what I've heard. All right, so let me lay it down for you. I was doing the research last night on the Hornady website. 45 ACP. I know there's. I wanted to choose 3 grain weights across the board that were the same, so we can have kind of an equal comparison. 185 grain FTX critical duty, out of a 5-inch barrel, 45 ACP, 900 feet per second, and 333 pound-feet of torque. Okay. 45
Torque,
Colt. Oh, not torque. Jesus, I'm thinking of cars. Pound-feet of energy. Pound-feet of energy. I'm a car guy. Torque, man. It tears it up. So
Yeah, man.
tears up your AARP wrists. All right. 45 Colt out of a 3-inch barrel. They had a 3-inch and they had a 4 3/4-inch barrel, but it was 2 different grain weights. Out of a 3-inch barrel, and I think maybe they were kind of doing like a Taurus Judge. Maybe that's why they gave those ballistics. 45 Colt, 185 grain FTX tip, critical defense, 920 feet per second for your velocity, 348 pound-feet of energy.
They did that to make it look weaker than it is compared to the others.
Well, now the 255 grain cowboy round from Hornady out of a 4.75-inch barrel only does 725 feet per second, obviously the heavier grain weight, and 298 pound-feet of energy. It has even less energy.
They're not allowed to have hot loads in cowboy action. Most of them are about half loads.
Okay, but as we go up in grain weight, the velocity and the energy was decreasing on the 45 Colt round. So I couldn't find a Colt round that actually had, as you went up in grain weight or anything hotter than this on Hornady's website. I was trying to find something that, that would have a little more to it. I'm short of doing your own hand loads, right? So that's what we're looking at for the 185 grain. 185 grain, 45 gap is 1,150 feet per second and 543 pound-feet of energy, which means that when I was looking at the superior to 9mm, superior to 40, superior to 45 ACP, just about equal 5 pound-feet of energy shorter of being equal to 357 SIG and 7 pound-feet of energy shorter than 10mm critical defense. So it is a round that we can laugh at it, but the potential of the round, now there's a lot of cons. Capacity versus, say, something else. What's that?
What is the chamber pressures on that?
35,000?
Oh, hell, it has to be.
It's a beast, man. I was just looking that up last night. Now that round is not. This is a 185 grain gold dot, spear gold dot round. Okay, that's where I'm getting these ballistics, not from Hornady, because Hornady doesn't make a 45 gap ammo that I can find on the ballistics charts. Okay, so it has. I mean, we're talking 30% more pound-feet energy than 45 ACP or 45 Colt. And here we were laughing at 45 gap, but it will hold its own. Now, availability, I wouldn't really say cost so much. It's $5 more per box than 357 SIG from what I was researching last night for a box of 50. Availability, capacity, I think that the Glock 37, I want to say it's 10+1, maybe 13. I don't know. I was looking that up last night. 38 and 39 get smaller. That's like your equivalent of a 17, 19, and 26 in terms of 9mm. So I like the 45 gap. I wish I had better access to it. I'd love to try one. I was consider picking one up, but again, I would probably just go 357 SIG because of an increased capacity and availability of ammo. And but price-wise, it's not, like I said, $20 a box is what I was seeing for a box of 50, whether you wanted full metal jacket or hollow points. So in defense of 45 gap, I'm going to go 45 gap. That's just me. Granted, you're limited to one firearm, 3 different models, and that's it. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Something that you got to take into consideration on 45 Colt is that ammo has to work in 120-year-old guns.
True.
Safe.
Oh, yeah. But now, again, the whole point of this was just a viewer request. They wanted us to have a little lively chat on it, get out there and share some statistics on it, some specifications. But Tony, you got a good point. We're talking a much older design firearm that might not have the metallurgy like we have in more modern firearms to resist that kind of pressure.
If you're sticking that thing in a Ruger Super Blackhawk, you can turn it up to match 44 Magnum.
Oh, I'm sure. And there are many calibers that are way superior to 45 gap. I'm not even going to argue. 44 mag, 357 Magnum plus P. There's a lot out there that's gonna definitely compete with it. But I just thought it was kind of funny that it's a round that we talk smack about, but it'll hold its own, which is kind of I thought that was interesting. Just looking at the numbers, I was like, hey, this stuff's amazing.
Must be using some super fast powder in it.
I don't know what the powder is. I'll have to look up to see what they load it with, but yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. So I'm going to go 45 gap all the way, but then again, I'd be limited to a Glock platform, which is fine. But again, my personal preference, I love 357 SIG. Just Love it. I love 357 Magnum. Those are my two favorite rounds just to shoot in general. So that's what I would go with. But anyway, just wanted to run it through and see what you guys had to say. Just wanted to kind of test the waters a little bit and get a little love out there for the 45 gap. So, all right, guys, we are at 10:20. We've been going for over 2 hours. We've been having a good time having this discussion. Talked about knives, talked about sharpening the knives. We talked about budget price modifications and accessories for your handguns. Had a little argument about 45, right? So I think we covered a pretty good variety for today. We should be able to have a show next Saturday. It should happen. We'll start again at 8 o'clock Central Time like we always do. If you don't have it, click on the bell for the channel if you're subscribed to the channel Travis P11. And that will give you the notifications when I go live. You can also always go over to gunchannels.com. Check out the Caliber Corner link or page, and I've got the new episode link right there. I leave this episode up for probably 4 or 5 days, and then I'll swap it out with the upcoming episode where we'll have episode number 52. Let's just go ahead and run it through the panel real quick if you guys want to say anything, and then we'll give a little recognition to the fans that were watching today, and we'll go from there. Tony, anything you'd like to say before we go?
Have a good day, everybody.
All right. Tony, are you guys going to have clear skies today, or do you have storms coming in?
I don't know.
It sounds like you had a pretty wicked storm last week. Yeah. Good deal. Good deal. Get your weekend started.
We really haven't had any bad weather here. Heavy rain, not anything severe here.
Good. Right on, man.
Next week will probably be the last show I do for a while because after that hunting season starts, and I'm going there.
Okay. All right, no problem, man. That's fine. I'll still send you links if you can make it. Great. If not, at least we know where you are. Cool, man. All right, Squib, anything you want to finish up with? Now, we didn't get you when you came in initially. Any shows you want us to check out? Any podcasts that you're doing? You showing up on anybody else's channel?
Yeah, pretty much I weasel into everybody. So if it's in the evening, you might find me there.
Cool. Gonna head on over to gunchannels.com. Squib is everywhere, right? Very nice. Very nice. All right, Night Strike. Anything you want to plug? Any shows? Any gun tubery that you want to get out there for us?
No, the shows are pretty much hit or miss. Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock. And yeah, Gun Streamer's great. It's great, but show some love to GunTube.
There we go. Get over there, sign up. GunTube does have a Patreon support. Yep. Okay, if you go to patreon.com and type in GunTube, there is a GunTube link you can click on if you want to help keep GunTube going, build it up into something great. Again, it's all about the storage space that these videos take and the cost of maintaining it. It's not easy. It's not cheap. And Night Strike has basically refused Google sponsorship on GunTube, which I think is a great thing because Google wants to try to dictate what you can put on your website that you are building and designing for the world. They want to tell you what they want to see on it. And you didn't agree to that. And that was a pretty bold move on your part. So I appreciate you doing that. But at the cost of ad revenue. So if we want to keep GunTube going, we need to support it. We need to get some Pro 2A support going on there, sponsorship and so on. Anything you want to answer to that at all or anything you want to say?
No, that's pretty much it.
Cool. All right, man. Thanks for joining us today. Jim, what about you?
I just want to know where Midnight Range found 8-grain 45 ACP.
8 grain?
He just threw out some crazy number. 8-grain 45 ACP, 7,000.
That's just like a coding that's just stuck into it's going to come out like tinfoil or something,
Yep.
and it goes 5,000 feet per second. It's got
7,065 actually.
How much torque does that round produce?
That's a lot of RPMs.
How many pound-feet of torque does it produce? I'm sorry, I'm a car guy, so I've always got cars in the brain. I apologize for that.
I'm a car guy before I'm a gun guy. So.
I'm sure somebody's going to probably rip me in the comment section on the video. What are you talking about? Torque, you moron. No, I know. Sometimes it doesn't work. I'm only going on one cup of this morning, right? So anyway, yeah, good stuff, man. 8 grain 45 gap is what I want.
That's
what needs to go into production. Tony, load me some. All right, 8 grain 45 gap. It breaks like speed of light records and stuff. It's just amazing. It's faster than anything.
It gets there before you shoot it.
10 millimeters.
What was it? What was the spoof video that I did? The 17. What was it? The Winchester. I made up some fake round.
It was some April Fool's joke.
Nerf Pua.
No, it wasn't the 338 Nerfu. It was like the 17 something Winchester Magnum short. I don't remember what it was.
It gets into relativistic speeds. It gets there before
faster
you shoot
than
it.
everything.
Extra long, short cartridge.
That's right. It'll reach the sun. Yes. All right. So AWAG, anything you want to finish up with? Are we going to see a how-to series on how to rebuild a straight six out of a Supra?
Probably.
All right. Sweet. Just put the camera on and just go to work. Just do it live. Just live podcast it.
Probably going to be a little snippets here and there. I mean, live stream might get a little boring because it'll just be probably seeing like my feet and lots of swearing.
So did you spin a bearing or something in that thing, or?
No, blown head gasket, and there's water in my oil pan. So.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I would cut your losses and just go buy a JDM car over Japanese Classics and be done with it.
Negative.
Oh my God, they got such sweet rides over there, AWAG.
Yeah, but no.
If there's only an inch of water in that thing, that may not be hurt.
Well, it made my when I checked my dipstick. Oh, that sounds lewd. When
family friendly, keep it family friendly.
Okay, when I checked the oil dipstick in the engine block of my car, it showed that the oil level was like 2 inches high on the dipstick.
That may not be high enough to hurt the thing.
I mean, I'm probably going to drain out the water until it starts putting out a little bit of oil, and then after all the water and crap is out, I'm probably going to move the car off the street and go from there.
Yep. What do you say? Sean Pondery, we're going to have to get Travis his own Ruger Alaskan and have the unfluted cylinder analyzed blue with the NOS logo on it. Oh my God. No, that's okay. That's fine. And then what else do we have? Somebody else was saying, Rob D just had to rebuild his Civic front end and a ball joint, hit a car last week. Man, that is a bad day right there.
Yeah.
That is a bad day. I got a 95 Civic SI and it hardly leaves the garage. I'm just afraid to drive it. I'm afraid to park it anywhere. It's terrible.
I'll give you $5,000 for it.
That's tempting. Because it's just sitting there in the garage. It gets out once a week and that's it. So very tempting, AWAG. Let me discuss it with my wife. We'll talk later.
All right, cool.
You know what thing's mint, right? You know it's mint.
Yes.
Okay. If you go online and look around, you're not going to find anything like it at all. And it's going to be a Barrett Jackson car in like 10 years. So anyway, I didn't realize you're a Civic guy. We'll talk about this later. So, all right, guys. So that's it. Caliber Corner number 51, where we talk about knives and 8 grain 45 gap rounds. And we talked about, I don't even know what else we talked about, cars and how to sharpen your kitchen knives. We got everything on this show. This is great. So thanks for joining us, guys. Let's see. Over on the gun channel side, we had Dr. No joining us. Sandhill Shooter was over there too. Patrick was over there. Paper Plane Crash was with us earlier. Over on the YouTube side, Andrew Peterman, Rob D, Sean Ponnery, Midnight Range was with us. Mad Sexy 45 ACP, Philo, Boob was with us also. A lot of people joining. D-Temp 62, Gun Snob is with us also. Usual crew's with us. That's pretty much about it. General Relativity, Patriot in the Dark. Who am I missing? Scott P79, Vanessa Kitty.
Some Grandpa.
And yeah, Grandpa was Grandpa Stanley was the first one here. Philo, Andrew Faulkner. You guys, thanks for watching today. I do appreciate it. Thanks for checking it out. I got more videos coming to the channel. Just check my channel periodically because I've been putting a video up like every 2 days. So if you miss a notification or something, do check the channel. Got a lot of fun stuff up there for you. Otherwise, this has been Caliber Corner episode number 51. Thanks for joining us. We will see you guys next Saturday at 8 a.m. Central Time. Y'all have a great weekend. Have a good time. Get out to the range. Take somebody to the range with you. And we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Bye, Felicia.
Shut up, infringed.
Adios, Felicia.